a Rayo original podcast.
Alright, I'm Pete Wicks, and we live in a world full of men. But what makes a good man? What makes a bad one? Pete Wicks Man-Made is the new podcast where me and my guests dive into modern masculinity, whatever that is. Join me, Tom Grennan, and more.
Listen to Pete Wicks Man-Made from May the 7th.
On the Rayo app, Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Play more with Rayo.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Kick high prices to the curb. Drive away with huge savings. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on a huge weekend across Scottish football. In the Premiership today, the battle for third sees Hibs against Dundee United and Aberdeen going to St Mirren. It's getting tense at the bottom. St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Ross County Hearts and Dundee Motherwell. Well done to Falkirk. They've won the championship and will play in the top flight next season. And speaking of the top flight, Rangers against Celtic at noon tomorrow. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me this afternoon you have Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
If you are of a nervous disposition and you're looking for something to take your mind off that Old Firm derby tomorrow, then you have come to the right place. We have simultaneous strain at 5 different grounds, none more so than the Global Energy Stadium in the Highlands, because if HEA, RTS are BEA, TEN, then they will be, as they say in Edinburgh, in soapy bubble. You've also got that terrific game between Dundee and Motherwell. Dundee need the point to avoid the playoffs, and Motherwell aren't out of the woods yet in that regard either. And the reason why they're all worried is because it's the fear of facing the Maryhill Mourinho. Mark Wilson, Partick Thistle into the playoffs. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Very nice welcome to the show. And what a Saturday we've got ahead, because so much can move in the table at the top and bottom. Obviously the big game at the top of the table, that battle for third, Hibs versus Dundee United, that'll be a cracker. St Johnstone, are they dead and buried, or will a win against Kilmarnock breathe new life into them? Hugh's right, up in Dingwall, a big afternoon for Liam Fox, taking charge for the second time, is it, this season? Can he steer Hearts to safety with a win at Ross County this afternoon?
Yeah, I echo Hugh's words. Well done, Mark. I'm looking forward to it.
Didn't seem the same enthusiasm.
That was beautiful to hear that.
Sincerity. Thank you. I'm delighted for the boy. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm looking forward to a lot of good games. That fixture list just oozes of a terrific afternoon of football and plenty of goals.
When I said HEA, RTS, as soon as I said that BEATEN,
I saw him writing it down.
I was looking at his face. BEA.
I was like, playing.
He was writing it down. Seriously though, congratulations last night.
Thank you.
It was a brilliant night in the championship. Congratulations to Falkirk. They've won the title. They've won the championship. They will play in the top flight next season. How was it from your point of view?
It was great, actually. First of all, congratulations to Falkirk. I didn't get the chance to say that last night, but they deserved it. They were the best team, and I'm delighted for John McGlynn and that squad. But for us, it was fantastic. I mean, just the way the full night played out, because got news that Hamilton had scored, and then obviously we take the lead, and it was nervous enough. But then you hear the score lines at Hampden, where Raith needed to win by 4 goals to level us in goal difference, and then if we had not won, Raith had to score 5, which they did. So going into those last 7 minutes of stoppage time, Raith are 5 up, and we know if we concede, we are out the playoffs. So it was quite nervy, but a lovely way to finish a tough season.
Because a Livy goal wouldn't have done anything for them for the title,
no,
but it would have knocked us out the playoffs.
Yeah, on goals scored for Raith.
Mark, that was my fault. I said to Gordon last night on Super Scoreboard, I fancy Queen's Park to take something off.
I think I heard that.
What they did? They took an absolute beating halfway through.
In fact, you know what? Let's open up and ground the guys before we get their thoughts on their own games, because it was brilliant last night. Fraser Wishart. It was what the Championship is all about. Actually, I know people might have their own feelings on it. Thought it was quite good that it was on a Friday night, because it meant the Championship got its own moment. A couple of games on TV and all that sort of stuff. So, congratulations to Falkirk.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been lucky enough, you guys have sent me to Falkirk many times this season, and I just love watching them play. It's never dull, because they're very good the way they play going forward, but you always get a chance or two against them. And I actually just flicked the telly on just as Halanaki scored, and I fear for the worst. I've got a soft spot for Falkirk. I had a season there. I got my career back on track before I joined Rangers, so I really enjoy going back to Brockville, or sorry, not Brockville, that's where we played, to the Falkirk Stadium. So I'm really delighted for John McGlynn, good guy. Paul Smith, an old teammate of mine. But the night of drama, as you say, was great, and I was feeling for Mark as Wraith Rovers battered in goal after goal, and they were hanging on to that 1-0 advantage, and once Falkirk had got those 3 goals, it was all over for the promotion side. So I really hoped that this would get into the playoffs. But you're right in saying that the Championship deserved its own focus, its own night, because there's a lot of good players down there who under normal circumstances might be playing a league up, but we have so many non-Scots playing in the Premiership. It's good to see these lads getting their time in the sun, and it's an exciting season for Mark and Partick Thistle and all of us who are Glasgow based, who would like to see Thistle go up as well. So exciting into the season, and really enjoyed my night last night. Yeah,
David Friel, I think whoever wins it deserves to go up. That's sort of how league tables work, but I think there's been a feeling, because of their absence, because of some of the storylines there, the back-to-back promotions, there's a lot pointing towards Falkirk being a really good addition to the top flight next season.
Yeah, it's something new as well, Gordon, and look, it's been a long time coming, and I think you saw from the players, the management, the officials, and especially the fans. I can't remember the last time I saw fans just surround the pitch waiting for the final whistle. In terms of that pitch invasion, yeah, a huge outpouring of emotion. I think you can see the relief on John McGlynn's face. But the guys were saying, look, Falkirk have been the best football team. I've really enjoyed watching them. They're exciting to watch, and I think they'll be a great addition. It will be something new. In terms of the playoffs, well done to Mark and everybody at Partick Thistle. And can I just say, having beaten Falkirk last week and beaten Livingston last night, are Partick the form team getting into these playoffs?
Well, the thing is, Mark, I mean, I know my place. I wouldn't try and give football advice to you guys, seasoned pros that have done it all before, but do you ever think it might be easier to not lose against all the teams at the bottom of the league and then have to beat the top 2 in the last? Could you not done it round? Has it not been easier just to do it the other way round? Where would the
drama be in that? We wanted to keep everybody excited, you know, and take it to the last minute. Sheer excitement in Scottish football. But you're right, it could have been a bit easier for our stress levels,
having to beat the top 2 in the last couple of weeks. And if anyone in here in the background, the production staff, if they've got anything about them, they'll be digging out that video before a ball was kicked last summer of Jim Duffy saying Falkirk would get back-to-back promotions. That was his prediction for the season. But that makes it extra special, that, doesn't it, Fraser? That's a great achievement to go back-to-back.
No, it's absolutely amazing. When you think of Falkirk in the doldrums, it's 15 years since they played at the top level, but it's also they'd 5 years in League One and blew it a few years before that. They lost the last 5 games, I think, to not even make the playoffs. So it's been a crazy time. I mean, the one downside, of course, of Partick Thistle getting into the playoffs is that Mark Wilson's had to call off from the PFA Scotland dinner tomorrow night, so I got a message this morning. And
I apologise, mate.
It's all paid for, of course, already, so you've just cost the union about 60 quid. But don't you worry about that, Mark.
Listen, I'll take you my bonus when we get promoted.
Fraser, I'll have his red wine.
You can have red wine. That's going to be starter. Gordon can have his main course.
He bought my suit for £2 and they weren't here as well today. He's a charitable man, is Mark Wilson.
I can't believe he's pulling out.
He's feeling bad.
I am feeling bad, but worse now that you've mentioned it live on radio.
So the thing is, he actually is. He's mentioned it a few times. There's someone in here who wouldn't feel bad, but it's not Mark Wilson. So Gordon Dalziel will see you there tomorrow. He's looking forward to it greatly. Hugh, there are so many stories. We probably don't have time to run through them all right now. Fraser's covered back-to-back promotions. Scott Arfield fairy tale story, everyone knows that. I mean, John McGlynn, he's been there before. On paper he would be of an older school, but in actual fact he's gone away, kind of reinvented his management style, learned a lot from Brendan Rodgers, plays this silky brand of attacking football, baseball cap on, loves this show as well. He's got great taste, and back in the top flight.
John's like me, he is an anachronism. You know, what's this old guy doing there? But he does his job, and I am of an age to remember when Partick Thistle should never be out of the top flight for me because they just belong there. Falkirk are the same. Brockville, Fraser mentioned earlier, used to be one of the atmospheric places, and now they've gone to the Falkirk Stadium and it televised beautifully last night. I know there are 3 stands and then a big gaping hole, but it televised wonderfully well last night. And for John McGlynn to do it back to back, I think is borderline miraculous. And he may not even get the Manager of the Year award at Fraser's due tomorrow night, but he will get the recognition that he deserves from those in the game and those out with the game who understand the scale of that achievement. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, well done to Falkirk, well done again to Mark and Brian and all involved at Partick Thistle for securing the playoff spot as well. Of course, Livingston and Ayr United in that mix as well. Let's go around the grounds today though, because it is all happening and you have full focus, Fraser. Before you get to your gala dinner tomorrow night, Hibs against Dundee United is massive in the race for third.
Yeah, it should be an absolute cracker, Gordon. I'm really looking forward to this one, and there's a good atmosphere outside. When I arrived in at 1:15, there's fans outside because they know how big a game this is, because the end to Hibs' long unbeaten run, we've spoken about it so often in the show, Pittodrie last week, has kept the battle for third place going, not only for Aberdeen, who beat them, but also for today's opponents, Dundee United, with 3 points separating the 3 clubs. And all 3 will probably play in Europe next season, but it's not clear which competition that will be. The result in the cup final between Aberdeen and Celtic and an impact as well as where they finish in the league. But for David Gray, nominated for Manager of the Year tomorrow night alongside John McGlynn and Brendan Rodgers, I think the interesting part for him will be the reaction he gets from his players. It's been a long time, probably since December, since his players have had to recover from a defeat. So I expect Hibs to start the game on the front foot, as they've done so many times when I've seen them. They press the game, they play really aggressively in the opponent's half, and I think they'll try and get the fans behind them. United, of course, had to recover from that heavy defeat last week against Celtic, but Jim Goodwin will know that can happen against Celtic, and he'll try and get his players to have taken the positives from the start to that game. But wherever they finish, and it's unlikely to be lower than 5th, it's been a fantastic season for a team that's promoted, and if they finish 3rd, that'd be remarkable for the Jim Goodwin and his players. He's relying on the loan signings like Sam Dalby's and Team of the Year Lucas Stevenson and others. They might not be at Tannadice next year, and that's a negative of loans, but I think all the players at United will want the season to finish on a high, like Declan Gallagher, who starts today. Louis Moat, been told they're no longer got a part to play, but they'll still give their all till the end of the season. The games this season have been close, 1 win each, 1 draw. Conditions are ideal, it's not too warm, there's no breeze, pitch looking terrific. 11 goals in the 3 games this season. I think there'll be a few goals here today for me to watch. 2 changes from Hibs from that team that lost to Aberdeen last week. Out go Campbell and Bowie, and in come Hoylett and Kuka Rebic. The usual 3-4-1-2 formation. Jordan Smith in goals, Warren O'Hora, Rocky Bashiri and Jack Iredale at the back, Chris Cadden, Dylan Levitt, Nectarius Trantis and Jordan Obita across the middle. Junior Hoylett tucked in behind the 2 strikers, Martin Boyle and Mikola Kuka Rebic. The subs are Joseph Bursik, Lewis Miller, Marvinek Piteta, Alassana Mane, Nicky Cadden, Kieran Bowie, Nathan Mariah Welsh, Josh Campbell and Dwight Gale. 3 changes from that heavy defeat against Celtic by Jim Goodwin. Payton, Middleton and Campbell drop out. Gallagher, Babunski and Van der Sande come in. They've changed their formation as well, I think, to a 3-4-1-2 formation. They go with Jack Walton in goals, Emmanuel Adebayega, Declan Gallagher and Vico Svelj at the back. Ryan Strain, Ross Docherty, Craig Sibbald and Will Ferry, with David Babinski behind the 2 big strikers, Jort van der Sande and Sam Dalby. Dave Richards, Christian Trapanowski, Lewis Fiorini, Louis Moult, Glenn Middleton, Kai Fotheringham, Rory Payton, Alan Campbell and Sam Cleo Harding are the substitutes, and the referee is John Beaton, and at the VAR today, Grant Irvin.
Both of them have lofty ambitions about finishing high up in those European places. Aberdeen are in the mix as well, and they go to St Mirren. Gabriel is there.
Yes, Gordon, good afternoon from Paisley. Battling the top half of the Premiership, European football, as you say, on both teams' minds. The host, St Mirren, started the post-split fixtures with another impressive display against Rangers. A 2-2 draw means they're unbeaten in 3 against the Ibrox side, and it also puts them within 8 points of 5th place, which we know is likely the final European spot. Stephen Robinson will know that if his side can win 3 of their last 4 games, they'll give themselves a chance at least of playing in Europe once again next campaign. But that has to start with 3 points today and it won't be easy. They face an Aberdeen team who picked up a huge result themselves last weekend. Kevin Nisbet's wonderful strike gave them a win over Hibs, and the battle for third looks like it will go down to the wire. The two teams just coming up to warm up now. Jimmy Tillin, the Dons manager, just headed back down the tunnel. He might be surprised by the PFA snub for Manager of the Year award. With others nominated, he's taken his team to the semi-final of the League Cup. They've got a Scottish Cup final at the end of May, and they're level with Hibs and on for third place. Yes, there have been bumps in the road for the Dons, but it's a better first year than any optimistic fan would have been expecting at the start of the season. How about some team news then? Well, Stephen Robinson makes just one change to the side that drew with Rangers. Ocean Smith comes into the midfield for Caelan Boyd-Muntz, who drops to the bench. So it'll be Zach Hemmen in goal, a back three of Marcus Fraser, Alex Gogic and Richard Taylor, Ryan Alabiosu and Declan John on wing-backs. Ocean Smith comes into the midfield alongside Killian Phillips and captain Mark O'Hara. Jonah Ayunga is up top with Mikael Mandron, who signed a one-year deal extension earlier this week. The substitutes: Aminski, Yakoviti, Tanza, Boyd-Muntz, Kilty, McMenamin, Idowu, Oseni and Scott. Tillin himself makes two alterations to his Aberdeen 11, with Nicky Devlin and Jeppe Okels coming in. Alexander Jensen misses out altogether at right back. Papigay is amongst the substitutes now. Dimitar Mitov will be in goal. The back four reads Nicky Devlin, Alfie Dorrington, Mats Noster and Graham Shinnie. Ante Peliversa and Leighton Clarkson will be at the base of the midfield. Shaden Morris, Jeppe Okels and Topi Keskinen are the three behind Kevin Nisbet, who leads the line. Substitutes: Duhan, McKenzie, McGrath, Polvara, Dabag, Gay, Milne, Boyd and Ambrose. The referee here is Ross Hardy, with Stephen McLean as the VAR.
Looking forward to it greatly. Now a different type of nerves and tension altogether. It's all about relegation. We know who's coming up, but who's going down. St Johnstone against Kilmarnock in Perth. David Friel is there.
Huge game here, Gordon. Make or break time for St Johnstone in that battle to stay up, as you said. And Simo Valakari sent out an SOS to Uche Ikpeatsu in a bid to save them. Big Ugandan striker signed at the start of the season. He hasn't actually started a competitive match in over a year after a horrendous series of injury problems, but he's in from the start today after a couple of sub appearances in recent weeks. And you can be sure, knowing what Ikpeatsu plays like, he will be up for the fight against Kelly. St Johnstone really last chance territory for them. They're 6 points behind Ross County at the bottom. They simply have to win. If they do and Hearts beat Ross County, then they'll put themselves right back in the mix, especially given the fact that County come to McDermott Park next weekend. But clearly there's no margin for error today, and Valakari knows that. He's a positive guy. He'll never give up. However, he needs some of that rock and roll football he talks about against Kelly today. They've got a good record against Kelly, 1-2 out of the last 3. They normally tend to do well against them here. I think everyone expects them to have a real go at Kelly today. Kelly themselves 9 points clear of St Johnstone. They obviously won't go down automatically, but they're only 3 points above the relegation playoff. Derek McKinnon's got a performance and result out of his side last week, and their 2-0 win over Ross County will demand something similar today. They're looking just to avoid a nervy ending to the season. However, their away form has been awful. They've on a run of 6 defeats in a row on the road, and that clearly needs to change at a ground that, as I said, they do tend to struggle at. 3 changes for St Johnstone after losing to Motherwell last week. Sam Curtis, Stephen Duke McKenna, Jason Holt and also Adama Sidibe drop out as 4 changes, with Barry Douglas, Victor Griffith, Elliot Watt and Ikpeatsu in from the start. Andy Fisher will be in goal. Sven Sprangler, Daniels Balodis and Barry Douglas at the back. Josh McPake, Elliot Watt, Victor Griffiths, Graham Carey and Taylor Stephen across the middle, with Uche Ikpeatsu and Mackenzie Kirk up front. Subs for St Johnstone: Sinclair, Holt, Clark, Sidibe, Kucheravi, Duke McKenna, Kim Pioka, Curtis and Franchuk. As for Kelly, name the same team that began against County last week. Kieran Harrett in goals. Back four: Lewis Mayo, Robbie D, Stuart Finlay, Corey and Daba, Danny Armstrong, Liam Donnelly, David Watson, Fraser Murray across the middle, with Bobby Wales and Bruce Anderson. Incidentally, it looks like Bobby Wales will be leaving Kilmarnock at the end of the season. It looks as if he's heading to Swansea. As for Kelly subs, it's McCrory, McKenzie, Vassell, Kennedy, Mackay, Stephen, Cameron, Ramsey, Watkins and Polworth. The referee at McDermott Park is Ian Snedden, and the VAR is Andrew Dallas.
Speaking of the bottom of the table, the nerves, the tension, maybe a slightly different pressure as well for the visitors to Dingwall. It's Ross County against Hearts. Dave Galloway.
Gordon, Ross County are desperate to avoid the Premiership relegation playoffs for the 3rd year in a row, but at this moment it's out of their hands as they sit in 11th place with 4 games to go. There have been some frank discussions in the county camp this week as they gear up for make or break time. A run of 5 successive league losses has seen them slip to second bottom. But what a massively disappointing campaign it's been for Hearts. Liam Fox today starts his second stint in caretaker charge this season. In October, he of course filled in after Stephen Naismith's dismissal. Now he's back in the hot seat temporarily following the sacking of Neil Critchley. Their last victory was at home to none other than Ross County. That was in March, and they've failed to score in 4 Premiership matches since. They sit 5 points above the Staggies, so defeat would certainly drag them into the mire. Looking at the teams then, and Ross County make 3 changes. In come Brown, Harmon and Samuel for Lopata, Campbell and Allardyce. So it's Amisa in goals, Brown, Tompkinson and Harmon at the back. Midfield right, Randall, Kenneh and Ashworth. Up top, White, Hale and Samuel. The subs, Ross, Phillips, Greaves, Campbell, Lopata, Nisbet, Effetti, Smith and Robeston. As for Hearts, well, 4 changes for them. In come Halkett, Shankland, Forrest and Vargas. Out to go McCart, Devlin, Khartoum and Kabangu. So it's Gordon in goals. A back 4 of Forrester, Kent, Halkett and Penrice. Midfield, Beningame, Grant and Spittle. Up top, it's the 3 of Forrest, Shankland and Vargas. On the bench, Fulton, Kingsley, Neuenhoff, Mackay, Steinwender, Kabangu, Danda, Wilson and Khartoum. Match referee Don Robertson, and your man on VAR, Gavin Duncan.
And last but not least, big game at Dens Park as well, Dundee against Motherwell. Let's hear from Dale Eaton.
Yes, thanks Gordon. It's set to be an exciting bottom 6 clash here in the city of Discovery. Both sides won their first post-split matches last weekend and moved closer to safety. For Dundee, it was a 1-0 away win to Hearts, where Simon Murray netted his 16th goal of the season to keep pace with Daiza Maeda at the top of the goal-scoring charts. They recorded just a 3rd clean sheet of the season, though that does make it 2 in 3 games, with the other coming against today's opponents in a 1-0 win at Fir Park back in October. The Dark Blues sit just above Ross County in the relegation playoff spot with 37 points, and a win today could go a long way to ensuring that they are playing top-flight football next season. Tony Docherty's made 1 change to his lineup, with Soon Adewumi coming in for Seb Palmer-Holden. In goals, it's Trevor Carson with Larkesh, Robertson, Shaughnessy and Astley in defence. Portales, Tiffany, Mulligan, Cameron and Adewumi are in midfield, with Simon Murray up front. On the bench for the Dark Blues, it's McCracken, Samuels, Riley, Finlay Robertson, Cometio, Palmer-Holden, Fraser, Silla and Aaron Donnelly. As for Motherwell, they went behind early against St Johnstone last weekend, but 3 goals either side of half-time secured the 3 points for the Steelmen. Callum Slattery continued his fine form against the Saints, scoring another goal to make it 4 in his last 5 games. Depending on the result between Ross County and Hearts, a Motherwell win here at Dens could seal their spot in the Premiership for next season. Michael Vimmers made 1 change to his side, with Ellery Balcombe dropping to the bench and Aston Oxborough returning to the starting 11 for his first appearance since the 8th of January. So it's Oxborough in goals, with Katrumbas, O'Donnell, Casey and Thompson in defence. In midfield, it's Sparrow, Halliday, Miller and Payton, with Slattery playing behind Tony Watt. On the bench, it's Balcombe, Seddon, Strakowski, Wilson, Abie, Andrews, Mashmanisi, Dixon and Armstrong. Today's referee is Kevin Clancy, and Callum Scott is on VAR.
That's you up to speed with your team news and your scenes. Just a quick word from our podcast sponsors, Wire, the best way to own an electric vehicle. Wire is a car purchasing platform that only sells 100% electric vehicles. So they'll walk you through the process of selecting a fully electric car that meets both your needs and your desires. Wire prove that virtually every car buyer can go electric today. They've got affordable options, saving you thousands on your next car through the Salary Boost scheme. The scheme makes purchasing an electric vehicle a sensible financial decision. Make sure you check out trywire.com for more information and how you can sign up. Now let's get back to the podcast. Ahead of today's 3 o'clock games, we'll take our first look ahead to tomorrow's action when we return.
From 5 on the open line, this is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel are here. We've already given you team news ahead of the big games at 3 o'clock today. We've already looked in the Championship and given Falkirk the credit they deserve. Let's get the guys involved, because usually we debate the biggest topic of the week when we reconvene on a Saturday, but I think let's cast it forward a bit, because it's all mixed Fraser Wishart. Every time Rangers and Celtic play, it does mean something. It's a fixture like no other. But what does this one mean, given that there's not as much riding on it as there otherwise might be?
Well, I think for both teams there is a bit here. I think Celtic have had such a terrific season that they won't want to end with 3 defeats in a row against Rangers. I think that's what Brendan Rodgers will be telling his team. He'll also be telling his team they could end up 20 points ahead of Rangers, and that's what Rangers have to guard against, is that gap becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's what they don't want to end the season 20, 22, 24 points behind, and there's a chance if Rangers don't get their act together that the wheels could fall off for the season. That's what Barry Ferguson will be saying, it's about pride. But for Rangers, it's also about the supporters who've not had an awful lot to cheer about this year, and the one small thing they could hang on to is a few wins against Celtic. So that's what Barry will be telling his players as well. So I think there's still plenty to play for. It's one of these games where I do think there'll be plenty of goals because of that, because both teams will want to go and try and win that game. So as you said, there's never a derby of any kind that's meaningless, but particularly in Scotland for the Old Firm game. So plenty to play for both teams, but I think for both it'll be about that points difference. Just small things. Players like to have a target, they like to have something to play for, and I think that points difference might be in the minds of both managers, because Celtic could really rob Rangers' nose in it tomorrow.
I think on the Celtic side of things, David Friel, you've also got the back-to-back defeats in the last 2 games. It's uncharted territory, that really, for Brendan Rodgers. How would you sum up his desire, do you think, to put that right? Because come the end of the season, they'll still have won the league, they've won the cup, they might well add another cup, but how do you think he feels about it?
I think he'll probably be taking it as a personal slight right now, Gordon, to be perfectly honest with you. I know Brendan Rodgers said last week very few people know him, very few people understand him, but I think we know him well enough to know that he will not want a third successive defeat to Rangers in these circumstances. Yeah, it's been a sort of quirk of a very strange season, because on the one hand Celtic could potentially go 20 points clear, but on the other hand they could lose a third successive league game to Rangers. However, in terms of it being meaningless, I think that stat alone will ensure Brendan Rodgers has the Celtic players fired up. But to be honest with you, I think when you've got the likes of Callum McGregor there as well, and even other players, I think they'll also be probably hurting a wee bit from the fact they've lost the last 2 games to Rangers. And I think from a Celtic perspective, I think they'll be really fired up to go and make a statement tomorrow at Ibrox.
It's the latest examination, Gordon, of can Rangers yet again defy everything else that they've been up to turn it on. We've seen it this season, they have won the last 2, we've seen it in Europe. Does that just happen again? I mean, it was only last week they were talking about terrible performance against St Mirren and so on.
It's just inconsistency. That's the problem with Rangers, and that's what the problem with Rangers have been this season. You look at some of the performance in Europe, you're talking there, they're going for 3 in a row against the champions, which is a good achievement. They'll be fired up for it. They'll want to finish in a high. Even if they win tomorrow, I think the Rangers fans will be disappointed in them, because they'll look again and say, well, where has this form been all season? I think it'll be a great game. I think both teams have got a lot to play for. I agree with the lads. I think the dugouts, which especially, with the pride, Barry Ferguson wants to beat Celtic again. It's a great ending to his probably Rangers manager's career. Brendan Rodgers will not want to receive another defeat, especially after clinching the championship last week at Dundee United. They're banging for him. They're playing very well. They're scoring goals. I just think we're in for an absolute brilliant afternoon.
If you were in the Celtic dressing room, Mark, how would you feel in that balance of this has been a good season, this will be a good season regardless, you've done a lot of good things, versus having lost the last 2 in this fixture?
Well, I think I'd have comfort that the job was done and the league medal was in the back pocket. However, I'd put that to one side for this game, because it's a game like no other. We see it all the time, but those little personal rivalries are real within, the actual game between the players. So guys like David Spawn, he's taken it. Guys like Callum McGregor, for instance, who played at Ibrox and was poor in that game that Rangers just overran them, will want to put that right. He also sat out and watched the game at Celtic Park, and I bet he was sitting there thinking, that wouldn't happen if I was playing, or the next time I get the opportunity. That's never happening. They're not getting that space, they're not getting that time, they're not going to be allowed to come in toppies like that. And that works for every single position. So I think the Celtic players will be hurting at losing a couple of times to Rangers. I think even when you look at the cup final, it was a close run game and it could have swung either way in that. So it's been pretty tight. They'll want to show these players that they are champions for a reason. and no better way of doing that than going to Ibrox, putting on a performance.
With regard to Rangers, Gordon Dalziel uses the word inconsistency. That's a kind of sanitised word for me. I prefer a harsher description of what's going on. If Rangers beat Celtic tomorrow for the third time in a row, then they will still be 14 points behind Celtic. That for me means that these Rangers players have cheated on Philippe Clement, cheated on Barry Ferguson, cheated on the Rangers support, and cheated on themselves, because they have to be capable of better than that. With regard to Celtic, if they lose to Rangers tomorrow for the third time in a row, having lost 9 goals over the course of the 3 defeats, then I think it's a blemish on the complexion of the season. It doesn't affect the championship. Celtic are worthy champions based on what they did in the other games, but it's a stain on the last part of the season for Celtic. And David Friel said that Brendan Rodgers would be well aware of that, and he's 100% correct. Brendan Rodgers isn't daft. He knows the kind of season that Rangers have had. He knows that the Celtic supporters have spent the entire season laughing at Rangers, from the time when the ship didn't turn up on time with the building materials, to the Queen's Park defeat in the Scottish Cup, to the sacking of the manager. The Celtic supporters have laughed at Rangers all season long. To lose 3 times in a row to Rangers in 2025, and Brendan Rodgers will know this, will be a source of desperate irritation for him, and it's up to him and his players to make sure that does not happen.
And a huge story which does impact tomorrow, David Friel, but I suppose the bigger picture, Jota out for potentially as long as 9 months.
Yeah, Gordon, I think it's just a huge blow for Celtic, a huge blow for the player himself, who came back again with a point to prove after that move to Saudi didn't work out. And look, I think it changes Celtic's transfer window this summer hugely, because Jota was signed in January with a view to the Champions League qualifiers. He was viewed as an upgrade on the wide areas. Celtic spend £8 million on him. He's an automatic starter when he's fit and firing, and I just think it's a huge blow for everybody. And I just wonder, I always felt Celtic would probably sign up to 2 wingers this summer. I just wonder whether it means they might need to bring another wide man in. I mean, if Dalziel and Hugh is now classed as a striker, it leaves you with Nicholas Kuhn. We don't know what's going to happen with him as well. James Forrest Yang. I think Celtic need to do a bit of work in that area come the summer. But, I think Brendan Rodgers said it looks like 6 to 9 months. It's clearly a really, really bad injury. Wish him all the best for his return.
What did you make of it, Mark? Was it enough to ruin your build-up to Partick Thistle's massive clash last night?
Jota's injury?
I'm sure you were all over it.
Yeah, significant one. I did think it was going to be a bad one. I think when you see the player coming out in crutches but a brace, you can tell it's going to be something significant. But Dave's right, huge blow, 9 months. That rules him out of all the Champions League games or European games further down the line. So I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic splash of cash in that forward area again. Yeah,
it's a massive blow for him. And I agree that you can look at a massive blow for Celtic, but for the player himself, you don't want to see that. 6 to 9 months of a long time, but obviously Celtic will have to go into the transfer market. And I agree with David. I think they will concentrate in the wide areas, because Maeda for me is a better centre forward than he is a wide player. Don't get me wrong, he can fill that role brilliantly, as we've seen in the past, but I think they'll need to go and strengthen the wide areas for me.
Well, we'll park that for now. Plenty of time to build up to tomorrow. You can even join us on the phones a bit later on and give us your thoughts. In the meantime, we've big business to take care of in the 3 o'clock fixtures, and we'll go back round the grounds when we return.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
15 minutes to go until the latest set of Scottish Premiership fixtures kick off. They are huge games. Let's go back around the grounds. Hibs against Dundee United. Fraser Wishart, did you get an okay? An issue with your name on the car park last time. I'm also wondering if the Hibs players are taking it out on you that they didn't have anyone in the team of the season. Then Sam Dalby was in the team of the season, but he didn't make it into the top 4 for Player of the Year. Are you a wanted man? in Leith?
I think so. Although the Hibs guys, there's a number of them coming. There's a Hibs table tomorrow night, so that's good. And Chris Cairns actually on our management committee, so it's all cool. He knows what's happening. But no, I got in today, which was good. The last time I went back to get my car, the wing mirror had a wee bit of damage to it, so I'm glad I didn't have to park it half a mile away. But as long as the Hibs players put on a good performance today, it's a good game against United, then I'll be more than happy. And I think they'll get after Dundee United. They'll know Hibs, they've got a 3-point advantage. Their success this year has been really playing in the front foot. I said earlier, pressing in the opponent's half as well. So I think they'll go and play high tempo, try and get a big crowd behind them as well, get an early lead. And they've scored a lot of goals during this period of great success. But it will be interesting to see, first time of a defeat in a long time, how do they react? What's the reaction from the players? So I think it'll be a good game. I think United might just play a wee bit more cautiously. They've got two big guys up front, so they'll maybe play a bit more cautiously, try and win some set pieces, try and get some balls into the penalty box to Van der Sande. And for the on-form Sam Dalby, as you say, Dalby's in the team of the year, well deserved in my eye, 14 goals. He's had a terrific season, so I think there'll be goals here, Gordon, and I'm looking forward to an exciting game.
It's so in the balance, isn't it, Fraser? I suppose you're looking to see what the Hibs' reaction is like to losing that winning run or unbeaten run they were always going to at some point. But there's not much really between these sides, and you look at Aberdeen, they'll be keeping an eye on this result as well.
Yeah, there's 3 points between the three teams, and if they'd won last week at Pittodrie, Hibs would have a 6-point advantage and would virtually be there. And I think I said earlier about the European places as well. They've still got to go and try and finish third. If Aberdeen win the Cup, then that means that they kind of get a better European spot next year. But you can worry about if spots and maybes and what's going to be in front of them. A win today, and I've got a feeling that Aberdeen might just drop something at Gab's game at St Mirren. I think that might be a draw as well. So a win today and Hibs are almost there. And when you've had a defeat, you want to get the fans behind you, and that's why the start of this game is really important, I think, for Hibs. First 20 minutes, go and get after Dundee United.
And on that theme then, Gabriel, you're watching St Mirren Aberdeen. I suppose credit to St Mirren, because on paper they're the ones that don't really have as much to play for. It didn't stop them against Rangers last weekend, and they're now doing it without Olusanya, who's gone off to the MLS.
Yeah, Gordon, it was interesting. I spoke to Stephen Robinson the day before the post-split fixture started, the day before Rangers came here last week, and he said until it's mathematically or arithmetically possible, he will not give up on a fight for European football. He's still got his eyes on fifth place, Gordon. As you say, that game against Rangers, that point may become crucial because it means they're only 8 behind Dundee United, and yes, it might take a lot of things to go their way, but they know that at the end of today they could just be 5 points behind United, and they've still got to play them with 3 remaining games. So St Mirren fans turning up here today, smiles on their faces. They're in the top half again, but they've still got European football on their mind. And as you say, Aberdeen have certainly that and then some. They've got a Scottish Cup final at the end of May, and it's interesting, Fraser there talking about Hibs' great run of unbeaten games in the league. Aberdeen, of course, the side that ended it last week, and much of the talk, and rightly so, since the turn of the year has been about Hibs. It's almost Aberdeen have almost gone under the radar. They feel that they are the third best team in this league. They feel they've shown it in the cup competitions. They want to prove it in the division as well. They're tied on points with Hibs at the moment, and it's going to be a shootout in these final 4 games. You look at the fixtures today, with neither of them playing one of Glasgow's big 2, it's a huge opportunity for either side to get one up on the other. So it's going to be really interesting come kick-off, Gordon.
And I know Lyndon Dykes changed the rules with these things, and Simon Murray's been getting spoken about for a Scotland call-up. Did I see Mikel Mandron throwing his hat in the ring during the week, Gabriel?
Yeah, Gordon, these links, I think, as you say, Lyndon Dykes has started it now. We're going to see more and more, especially with Scotland's lack of striking options over the next few years. But Mandron's been brilliant since he's been at St Mirren. Fully deserved that contract extension he's got. He'll be here until at least 2026, and he's playing up top today with a younger. You said that Olasanya's gone. 6 figures they received from an MLS side for him. That was a no-brainer for them with his contract running out in just 6 weeks' time. But those 2 up top today, Younger and Mandron, are so key to the way that St Mirren play. It's not necessarily knock-it-long football, but they use the 2 up top. They use their physicality. They stretch the opposition defence. A proper old-school forward line, and it'll be really interesting to see how they do against Aberdeen's back line today.
Looking forward to it. Now it's all about the nerves and the tension at the bottom. David Friel, I suppose for St Johnstone, I actually met I know one St Johnstone fan, that's it, and I met him this morning. I bumped into him this morning. I think they all know, don't they? It's sort of a matter of time, but at this stage of the season you're just waiting on things becoming confirmed.
Yeah, I think they've almost been resigned to it for the bulk of the season, to be perfectly honest with you. Obviously it didn't start well under Craig Levein, and as you say, Gordon, they have almost just been waiting for it to be confirmed. However, this is their last chance. They might get some final hope today if they win the game and results go their way elsewhere. As I said earlier, Simo Valakari's just throwing everything at it now. He knows he needs to win this game. What might also give him a little bit of confidence, a little bit of hope, is the fact that Killy's away record is so bad. They are bottom of the away table in the Premiership, if you want to call it that. I think they've only taken 9 points from a possible 51 on the road this season. They never win away from home these days, so it's all there for them. They have a chance. He's going with Big Uchi up front. He's going to have Mackenzie Kirk running off them. You just never know, but if it goes badly today, it's definitely over.
Looking forward to that one at McDermott Park. St Johnstone against Kilmarnock. Ross County Hearts. Dave Galloway, I was looking through social media during the break, and just huge breaking news coming out of Dingwall that Wimpy's got a new menu and you've been along to try it out.
Oh yes, absolutely. A hot and loaded burger from the new menu, highly recommended. Quarter pounder, cheese, chicken strips, habanero sauce and jalapenos. Very nice indeed.
Not only that the Wimpy's still going, but to the point that they're launching new menus. I'm
Dave is our in-house Gordon Ramsay.
Absolutely. So I really hope Ross County managed to stay in the Premiership. If ever two teams, though, Gordon desperately needed a lift, it's these ones. County 5 losses on the bounce, and they failed to score in 4 of them. They were looking pretty comfortable in 8th place not so long ago. Hearts campaign, on the other hand, full of inconsistency and setbacks, and although they currently sit 7th, things are so tight in the bottom half of that table. Should they slip up here this afternoon, they'll be in big trouble, deep trouble, as County would be breathing down their necks, just 2 points behind. Remember, many people said Hibs under Terry Butcher were too good to go down a number of years ago, and we all know what happened there. Incidentally, it's a much smaller visiting support than usual, Gordon, here. The Hearts fans have been given half of the end behind the goal over to my left, and there are plenty empty seats.
And they're coming off the back of the Player of the Year debacle.
Yeah.
Hugh Keevins, where Lawrence Shanklin looks like he's smirking, and then he has to clarify that he wasn't, and Anne Budge seems to just totally dismiss the notion of giving a response to Neil Critchley's sacking. And just everything's annoying the Hearts fans at the moment.
They seriously need a good PR. Anne Budge, of all people, should know not to be disdainful when it comes to the supporters, because she stepped in, she saved Hearts from serious bother, and she relied upon the foundation of Hearts for money thereafter, and they pay fortunes per season into Hearts. The last people you disrespect at Tynecastle are the Heart of Midlothian supporters. Lawrence Shanklin's denial of smirking was so lengthy that you knew he was guilty of the offence in the first place. So they are all over the shop. Their form is terrible. There were 2 managers in 7 months, but they are playing today a team who are the definition of hopeless. As Dave Galloway said, they've lost 5 games on the bounce, Ross County, and scored 2 goals in those 5 games. They are the boxer on the ropes, unable to defend himself, and Hearts, even Hearts, will smirk their way to a win in the Highlands and put Ross County out of their misery. They'll be in the playoffs, and St Johnstone will be relegated.
As for the final offering, Gordon Dalziel, I'll bow to your knowledge of Dundee against Motherwell. Motherwell, with that win last week, they are in 7th, 42 points. That's 7 ahead of Ross County. To most people, I think that's got them safe.
Yeah.
But it's not arithmetically certain. How important is it that you do just put it to bed, rather than maybe getting dragged down and find yourself in 9th or 10th, but still knowing that you probably won't get sucked in? Yeah,
you want to finish the season on a high, of course you do. I thought last week's result was so important. That does keep them safe, Gordon, because as much as you can look at the point situation, there's too many teams below that they have to fall below to get themselves right in trouble. So they'll be looking for a good game today out at Dundee. I think that will be a very good game indeed. I think there'll be plenty of goals. And I think Motherwell, if they can just get another point. But right now, 42 points, surely enough to keep you out that playoff situation.
But to make it all about Fraser's do tomorrow, they are up against one of the 4 best players in the country, as voted for by his fellow professionals. And you've been beating the Simon Murray drum all season.
Yeah, I certainly have. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for them. I think he deserves every compliment he's getting. He's had a terrific season, not just as a goal scorer. I think his all-round game as a team player, he's what we call in the game a manager's dream. A manager must love the fact he goes out there, he plays for a team, he's added goals, important goals. I think Dundee, without him this season, would have, well, they're in a little bit of trouble, but I think they would have been banging trouble. And I think Simon Murray's the man to take them out, and I'm delighted he's in the nominees for tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this greatly. Huge games in the race for Europe, the race for third, the bottom, the relegation playoff spots. The Championship was a starter last night. Let's get to the Premiership main course when we return.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One.
We're underway in the 3 o'clock kickoffs across the Premiership. We don't even have any Championship football because it's all done and dusted for now. The playoffs still to come, but the Premiership has more than enough entertainment and excitement and drama today to keep us going. So without further ado, Hugh Keevins, you have 5 games. This the man who said Queen's Park would beat Wraith last night and they lost 5-1. So I'm not holding my breath, but try and predict the 5 outcomes.
Do you know what? I knew when I tipped Celtic to beat St Johnstone 5-0 in the Scottish Cup semi-final, that was probably the right prediction of my career. And they were all rotten before that, and they'll all be rotten after that. But it's kind of you to ask. So I'll say that Hibs will beat Dundee United. Kilmarnock will put St Johnstone out of their misery in Perth. St Mirren Aberdeen, a draw. I agree with Fraser. Ross County are just so bad, it doesn't matter whether they're home, away or on the moon. They will lose to Hearts. And Dundee Motherwell, a draw.
Oh, almost identical, Hugh. The first 4 there: Hibs to beat United, Kilmarnock to beat St Johnstone, Aberdeen, St Mirren a draw, Hearts to beat Ross County. But I've went for Dundee to beat Motherwell.
Yeah, Hibs, I think, a full house. I'm going St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, draw. You've heard it here first. St Mirren to beat Aberdeen, Ross County to beat Hearts.
What?
Yep, and Dundee to beat Motherwell. Yep, at home.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get your essential medicines and vaccines before you head off on holiday.
Right, let's get this show on the road then and see how these predictions pan out. But more importantly, the clubs have all got big aims of their own. Look at that fixture card today. 10 teams involved, and pretty much only one of them in St Mirren not with a lot to play for. And even they have high standards anyway. Stephen Robinson would not want to let this slip. So very much looking forward to this afternoon, Hugh. This is what the post-split games are all about.
I don't think Stephen Robinson will let St Mirren adopt any lackadaisical attitude. They've been a standout. He's been a standout manager. He must be on Hearts' radar for that job of replacing Neil Critchley. But I think it's an outstanding afternoon in prospect. It's a terrible thing to say, but in the journalistic profession, you're always drawn towards the darker side. And the dark
you are
side,
anyway.
Yeah. And the dark side is Hearts in the Highlands, because if anything happens there, and well played the Dazzler for saying he thinks Ross County will win. I don't know, after 5 defeats in a row and you've only scored 2 goals in 7.5 hours of football, they're hopeless. But if Ross County win, then that really throws the cat amongst the pigeons. As you say, Gordon, 5 games, 5 sources of intrigue and mystery, and let it all unfold now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting games there. I think obviously you look at the top, Hibs and Dundee. I think Fraser's in for a cracker there. St Mirren, I totally agree. I think they'll butt for it. I know they've not a lot to play for, but the one thing they want to do is finish the season on a high. They've had a great season, top 6 finish. Aberdeen will be looking to get the 3 points to keep the pressure on Hibs this afternoon. But it's all at the bottom makes it exciting for me. I think if Ross County can get a result today and Dundee play Motherwell, all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure on the teams above them.
I think with Hearts it brings into sharp focus the board more than anything else, because often the board and those key decision makers often get a pass. I think when you sack 2 managers in 1 year, the fans have the right to ask questions of who are making the appointments and who are getting rid of the appointments. I think Neil Critchley should have been allowed to go to the end of the season. I think when he's given one transfer window, and I get results were going against him, but I still think he would have kept him up. Liam Fox, and again, that's a big afternoon for an interim manager to take on the task of going to Dingwall and trying to get something. So be an interesting one up there. But for Motherwell, by the way, I know you guys are panicking. I think St Mirren and Motherwell are fine. I think the other 2 teams that can just...
St Mirren are fine, if we're going to say the top 6.
Aye, St Mirren have got nothing to play for, right, like you were saying, and they're relaxed. I think Motherwell are the same, really.
I agree with you. I don't think Motherwell are in any danger. I think there's too many teams got to overtake them first and foremost. But it would be nice just to cement it. A point. You would take a point at Dens today. And
well, listen, they're bound to be inspired by the Players' Player of the Year. Andy Halliday, of course.
Yeah.
They're leading by example this afternoon, I'm sure. So
it shows you the season we've had.
Now, what a great award. By what age is Andy just now? 33. Did I hear you say he's been available for every game?
Played every game.
That is good going for a man of his age. So well done to Andy. He doesn't complete every game right enough, does he? Let us off.
No. Well, if you're asking for completed games, I think he'll be in the 0. If I'm honest, but he's been brilliant. He's a great professional, Andy. Good to have about the place and still going very strong. And hopefully he'll get a wee goal this afternoon just to cap it all off.
You ready, Hugh?
Yep.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Can you name the 5 defenders who, since season 2015-2016, have 10 or more Premiership goals and played for only one of the current top flight clubs? Now, incidentally, they do not have to have scored all of those goals in one season. So, the 5 defenders who, since season 2015-2016, have 10 or more Premiership goals and played for only one of the current top flight clubs.
Oh, I like that. There are a couple in particular I think will really catch you out here.
Yeah.
I think we've made it too easy on the first half teaser recently, so you need some serious knowledge on this one. Get your answers in at Clyde SSB. It is a race. You need to put all 5 down on one tweet and send it into at Clyde SSB. Now listen, if you don't think you've got all 5 in you and you just want to have some fun and play along and throw some names out there, that is absolutely fine as well. Let's hear from you at Clyde SSB.
Got a question. Define defender.
Well, the only what I would say, there's only they're all definitely
sure you've
defenders.
Heard that a few times in your career.
The correct answers are all definitely defenders.
Okay,
there's no doubt.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Okay.
Because there's a couple in there that, or I thought, maybe questionable.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
First goal of the afternoon, and it's in the big one at Easter Road. Hibs 1, Dundee United 0, and it is Martin Boyle. What a second half of the season he is having. For all those people who thought he was maybe past it, maybe on his way out, he has rammed those suggestions back down the throats. A bit of fortune this one. Cadden's low cross, Gallagher kind of kicked the ball off Martin Boyle and it trickled into the net. I don't think he'll care. He's having a brilliant season and he's scored again.
And he's in the team who have put David Gray on the shortlist for Manager of the Year. David Gray, remarkable story. Martin Boyle, equally remarkable story. It's a story of coming back after a slow start to the season. And the funny thing about the Manager of the Year award, and I meant to ask Fraser, there are only 3 contestants.
I think there are always 3.
Not more than that. Every other category has 4.
From recent memory, it was 3 last year. It's been 3 the last couple.
So is it Gray, Rodgers and McLean?
Yes, that's it.
Right, okay.
But Fraser will know, but would never tell who the manager of the year is. But David Gray is there on the basis of a 17-game run in which Hibs lost no games, but they were then defeated last weekend by Aberdeen. And now they're hoping to restart the grand finale to the season.
I don't know why he won't tell Hugh, because he was quick enough to tell us the price of a ticket. And cast it up to our poor fellow colleague here, who's working hard to get into the Premier League. But Fraser, he did say that he would give me £60 and I will refund it tomorrow for you.
Certainly not to you. I'll give it to one of these two. More trustworthy. But Boyle, 12th goal of the season for Hibs in the Premiership, takes Hibs to 55 goals a season. You compare that to the other teams, obviously, in that top 6. They are by far out ahead in the goals scored column, and it's largely down to Boyle. Just a fit Martin Boyle fits this league. Just with his pace, how direct he is. We've seen him. I think his standout performance was against Rangers, remember, at Easter Road, where he was absolutely outstanding that day. But he's just a reliable
He's leaving
source.
the club this season, isn't he?
Well, I think that's still a matter of conjecture.
Yeah, I think he's going back home to Australia, is it not? I'm very well informed.
Not sure about that.
With that.
Well, if home's here.
Yeah.
I don't know he plays for Australia, but he's for Aberdeen or something.
Was he born in Aberdeen?
Yeah, he's
Scottish,
but he's loving Australia.
He represents Australia.
You ever spoke to him?
But it's not home. He's not going home.
He's
his accent.
Okay, I'm going to rephrase that. I think he's going to Australia to play his football next season.
He's Lyndon Dykes in reverse. Lyndon Dykes a kiddie on Scott, and Martin's a kiddie on Aussie. But how much are the Hibs fans loving this? They are going for third place, and everything in the garden's rosy, and Hearts are in danger.
Would you put David Gray in that category, the top 3?
I don't think he deserves to be manager of the year.
No, but would you put him in the category? Do you think the Aberdeen manager deserves?
Well, that's why I was asking that only 3 contestants. Jimmy Tilleen, who's still got the prospect of finishing third and winning the Scottish Cup.
But that's more of a timing issue than a number, like I say. Well, Fraser can confirm, but any seasons I can remember recently, there's always been 3. But I think that's more of a timing issue, and it's obviously difficult to arrange it all. It's the same with the players.
We wonder who'll get that one tomorrow.
If Simon Murray goes and scores 15 goals today, but Dalziel and Maida wins the prize tomorrow, you might feel hard done by. It's just the way
because the votes are in and counted, and it's not Fraser's fault. The votes are in and counted, so that's all.
Well, it is Fraser's fault because he set the date.
Any man,
why not just wait to me?
Of course you can't, because as soon as the season finishes, everybody's away on holiday, players are released, all that sort of stuff.
Fraser's just been selfish.
Oh, I tell you what you've got in store tomorrow, what you look forward to every year at the PFAs. Fraser's speech.
Oh my God! No, does he still do that? Does he? Right, I'll tell you what.
Been there for a year.
I'll tell you what, Gordon. You're now receiving another 60 quid. Right? I ain't going along to listen to that again.
So you'd pay £60 to not listen?
Yeah. You cut. Oh my God! Please.
He's not a fan of Fraser's speech.
I've got an update confirmed. He says speech written. Another epic. He says.
Oh my goodness.
And is he wearing the same jacket? I think he confirmed to me he was.
You and him had matching jackets.
I actually got another jacket, and I'm afraid I can't wear it now.
Give it to Gordon, he'll wear it.
Yeah,
wouldn't fit him. No,
I've got too much muscle.
I had a bit of an issue.
With your shirt?
My shirt was a bit tighter than it was last year.
But you've been bulking out.
No.
Eating a lot of protein.
No, I was thinking it was more having a second child that's probably done it. So straight off to M&S this morning on the way there.
What are you going for tomorrow? Wee tux?
Yeah.
Bow tie?
No, I'm going the
black tie.
Yeah, James
Black
Bondy.
tie, chauffeur
with a white
look.
hanky. Yeah, I'm turning up in style. I'm going right in there, turning up in style. The minute Fraser steps on the stage, I'm at the bar. I'm right out that door. I'll be back in half an hour, boys. Text me when he's finished.
Any man who invites me to a champagne reception.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
We've got a goal at McDermott Park, and it goes to Kilmarnock. This really could be it for St Johnstone. It was a nice goal from last season's PFA Scotland Young Player of the Year, David Watson. Certainly hasn't kicked on the way people would have expected to in and out the team, but that could be an important one. It's a nice goal, a curler from 18 yards, and it's one that will see Derek McInnes breathe a huge sigh of relief, and one which really just starts to accelerate things for the St Johnstone fans.
Well, it's only putting the fans out of their misery. It was always going to happen. Simo Valakari strikes me as a man who's an idealist. David Friel spoke earlier on about rock and roll football, which is one of Simo Valakari's expressions, but they're just not good enough to stay in the division, and when that is the case, all the rock and roll in the world won't help you.
First big chance for Dundee. It was a double save from Aston Oxborough. Just quite interesting that Gordon brought back in today. Can you read anything into that? It's so late in the season, and maybe Motherwell are safe, but remember, he was the first choice at the start of the season, got injured. Then Ellery Balcombe, who'd been at St Mirren, eventually came in after Archie Mayer played once or something in between. And Balcombe stayed in, but now there have been one or two Motherwell fans suggesting they'd prefer to see Aston Oxborough back in.
I see the sense in it, because I think Mark's right. I think that if you look at that league table, Motherwell are not in any danger of being on that relegation playoff. And I think with the new manager coming in, it gives them a few games from now to the end of the season to assess them, because it's got to be a big transfer window for him. He'll want to bring in his own players, and he might look at the goalkeeping situation. He'll look at every sort of a situation, because Motherwell need to get rid of players because they've got such a massive squad, and they need them freshened up. So I don't think that's a bad idea, because he was the number one goalkeeper.
You see the little clip of Motherwell training the other day in the tight area, the centre circle, the 2 goals, tight pitch, goalkeepers, a lot of involvement. Just when you mentioned the goalkeepers there, maybe it's quite interesting. You know how crowded that area was. A couple of the drills at Vimmers.
Yeah, we're very set in our ways here, aren't we? I think it's always interesting when a European manager comes in. You know, we've spoken about it before. Andy's spoken about it. They've, the schedule changed, so they have a kind of different schedule during the week.
That's hard for Scottish footballers.
They sometimes train later, I think, at certain days of the week and so on. So
that Friday they train 3 o'clock,
something like that.
If I know anything, footballers do not like that sort of stuff. Anything that disrupts
I would have hated that.
Oh, you would have.
Yeah.
Anything that's just out the ordinary with footballers.
But that's the players' fault.
I was going to say, Scotland maybe a bit set in its ways.
Yeah.
100%.
10:30 start, 12 o'clock finish. Down the road.
If you can't have that
in the snooker club or the golf course.
100%.
You need adaptability. The man comes in with fresh ideas. You can't just say, we're Scottish players, we only train 10 till 12:30, and then we go away and don't think about anything.
First Dundee corner here, so let's see what Michael Vimmer's defensive training ground work has looked like this week. Not great, because Aston Oxborough has to make a very big save from Joe Shaughnessy's header. Hearts are the better team in the game in Dingwall. And what else have we got? A good double save, Jack Walton. Hibs were looking to make it 2. Kukarevich first, in Hoylett on the rebound.
To be fair, not difficult to be better than Ross County. I can't understand your prediction. How did you arrive at Ross County?
Because I think Ross County are one of those teams, Hugh, that they just produce a result from somewhere. They had, I think it was the middle of the season, they couldn't win away from home, couldn't they? And then all of a sudden they went on a little run. I just at home against a Hearts team that are sitting there. They've lost their manager. They lost their manager because of a reason. Obviously the players as well. They've not reached the top 6. I've just got a sneaky that Ross County can get some. Could be totally wrong. I've been wrong before.
We'll wait and see. Give us the early reminder of the teaser, please, Hugh.
Okay, can you name the 5 defenders who, since season 2015-2016, have 10 or more Premiership goals, and they played for only one of the current top flight clubs? Now, they don't have to have scored all of those goals in one season, but 5 of them since 2015-16, 10 or more Scottish Premiership goals, and played for only one of the current top flight clubs.
I think this is one of the hardest first half teasers we've had, because it requires quite a bit here. Right, to clarify your point, Mark, just as an example, Nir Beaton is not on the list because he was a midfielder.
That's what I mean.
He played at the back. The rest are definitely defenders. Chris McAllister thinks it could be Mikael Lustig.
No.
Andy Considine.
No.
Paul Hanlon.
Nope.
He's got the other 2 right, don't worry about that. Michael Donati wants to throw in Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Not there.
Graham Shinney.
Not there either.
He's not a defender.
Well, that's one of the ones that he's a left back.
He's now back playing left back. But Michael Collins wants to go Christopher Ayer.
Sorry, Michael.
I'll give you a wee clue, because it's a very slow start to this, because I think it is so tough. 2 Rangers, 1 Celtic, 2 non-Old Firm. Okay, don't say I'm not good to you.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
2-0 Hibs. It's Mikola Kukarevich with the goal. Hibs have started brightly and they have the scoreline to back that up. Dundee United priding themselves on being pretty solid this season. They didn't look very solid against Celtic. That can be forgivable, but not so much here today either. He ran from the halfway line into the box, low left-footed finish, in off the post, and Hibs are cruising all of a sudden.
Well, terrific day for all concerned. And David Gray, contender for Manager of the Year, will be quite happy simply to take his 3 points, go home, be at the Hibs table tomorrow night and see what will be.
It's amazing. At the start of the season, I used to always speak about Easter Road. You just never knew what you were going to get from a Hibs side there, and now it's the opposite. It is consistent. You know what you're getting, and I'm not surprised with that. As good as Dundee United have been, as good as they were for the first 15 minutes against Celtic, I thought they were always going to find that difficult at Easter Road today. So a flying start from Hibs.
Easter Road's not a good place for Jim Goodwin, is it?
No, just not.
It's one of those grounds as a player as well. You used to have certain grounds you hated.
That image, the image of him leaving by the side door will be there forever. But to be fair to the man, Tannadice was his rehabilitation, and he has done all that can reasonably be asked of a club promoted to the Premiership. To be in the top 6 is a feat in itself.
The thing is, if Dundee United, the good thing about their position post split, I suppose, Mark, and you've been at the club, is they can't have a bad season from here. They won't drop to 6th, and by the way, even if they did, you'd probably would have taken that at the start of the season, or should I say, it's unlikely that they drop to 6th. So a 5th place finish, first season back up.
Look, I think it's been an exceptional season for them. I think obviously once you get into a position, Jim would have then upped the expectation levels, but 5th place is remarkable. Coming up, the budget cuts I knew he had to go through last season, some of the players he had to find and bring to the club and integrate. It's been a tough job for Jim Goodwin. He's done a fantastic job there. Brilliant season.
No goals yet, but you'll be pleased to know St Mirren Aberdeen, Gabriel says it's feistier than Dave's hot and loaded burger from Wimpy. So it's quite spicy up there. Over there in Paisley there was already a booking. I think Devlin clattered into Mark O'Hara. Nearly a mix up there as Marcus Fraser head past his own keeper from an Aberdeen corner, but still no goals yet. The only goals coming, a double from Hibs, they're 2-0 up, and the big one for Kelly, 1 up at McDermott Park.
At least if it's feisty in Paisley, St Mirren Aberdeen, then it proves the point that the St Mirren players haven't regarded their season as being over and done with.
Yeah, good point.
So they're willing to go out all guns blazing.
I think that's a reflection of the manager.
Yeah,
just the way he comes across, and I think that would put him high in anybody's priority list if they're looking for a new manager, and especially Hearts, that he drums into his players the detail that he requires from them, but it's that kind of attitude he also drums into his players that any club would want. And of course, the further up the ladder you go and you can install that into better players, the better chance you have of actual silverware. So if your Hearts, you'd do a lot worse than looking in his direction.
Maybe he's thinking about the club just up the road from Paisley.
Which one?
The one that's looking for a manager at the end of the season.
Catch yourself on. Not a chance. But I agree with Mark. I think if your Hearts, you would be looking at the job that he's doing in St Mirren. He's been terrific for him. Look, he'd done a great job at Motherwell as well.
That was a kind of swift dismissal. That catch yourself on, not a chance.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Do you actually believe that?
Believe he'd be
He's a troublemaker.
The mix.
Don't forget, it's playoff season, and it's not just about moving between divisions in the SPFL. There are teams trying to get into the SPFL and stay. So East Kilbride, remember, 4-1 up against Brora from the first leg. They're 1-0 down on the day, so 4-2 on aggregate. And of course the winner of that tie will take on either Bonnyrigg Rose or Forfar. So we'll keep an eye on their scores today as well. At the moment, 0-0 Forfar Stirling, and Bonnyrigg Rose are 0-0 as well away at Stranraer.
Surely Kilbride can't throw that away. I know they've got off to a bad start, but they've got good enough players, good experience there. I fancy them to take on the winners of Forfar or Bonnie Rig.
Well, it was only 2-1 when they went down to 10 men last week, so actually did pretty well to win 4-1 in the end.
Mark, look, it might be a possibility. I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed for you. But if you win the playoffs, who would you be looking to? Who would you fancy in that Premier League? Ross County, Dundee? Because that's it two really just now.
Anybody. We'll take anybody.
I think he's going to stand here and tell you which one he would rather play.
Why not?
We'll take them all.
The guy's a part-time pundit, part-time manager now.
Why not? I would.
Who would you take?
Ross County.
Well,
right.
That's
pin
because Simon
it up
Murray
in the dressing room wall.
Exactly.
He says
Yeah. And then what you could do, what you done the last time, got up there and.
But you just say Ross County can pull a result for anywhere.
But so can the Thistle. You and Big Brian have got the magic touch. You beat the top two. How? I don't know.
Lost against the bottom two, so we're just a mix. We keep everybody in their toes.
But you're on. I can't wait for Tuesday and Friday.
Oh, wait there. Can I read his message? It is broadcastable.
Did he send you? Because he doesn't usually even bother. He doesn't usually even bother with him.
By the time it came through, it was when I switched my phone off. I switched my phone on after the game. It came through. Message Gordon Dale, a text message, not even a WhatsApp as well. This is from the heart, by the way. I believe in you to get this over the line, my friend. It takes a turn here. Don't let yourself and family and me down tonight. Remember what I've taught you from day one, and you will succeed. All the very best.
It worked.
Exactly.
It worked.
Exactly.
But you see what he's done there? He's dropped in a nice all the best, but don't let your family having a wee jive. But I appreciate, and he also texts me as well.
What troubled me about that whole thing though, why'd you turn your phone off?
Exactly.
Why did I turn my phone off?
What do you mean turn it off? You just like put it away. I don't think I've ever turned my phone off. Really.
Oh no, I turn it off just in case.
In case what?
In case I've not put it on silent or something and it rings.
Look at it.
And somebody goes, where are you?
Not in the dressing room. So it's in the dressing room, isn't it?
Okay.
Well, just think if it's silence and somebody's speaking, the phone goes and you're going, whose phone's that? It's mine. No, switch your phone off. Professional.
Doesn't know how to put his phone in silent, honestly. And we're supposed to trust this guy to lead Thistle to the top flight. We've got a goal.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
How's Ann Budge feeling? Ross County 1, Hearts 0. It's a great low finish from Ronan Hale. He has showed signs. He's been decent at times this season. He shoots on sight, Ronan Hale, and he's fired one into the bottom corner to make it Ross County 1, Hearts 0.
I bow to the Daz. They're not over the line, not by a long way, but Ross County, for a start, they've scored a goal.
And we've got one for Aberdeen as well, but it's getting looked at by VAR. At the moment, I think it was Oakles who scored. He did look a bit sheepish, no pun intended. Come on, Gabriel, you're better than. He's from Aberdeen as well. He should know more. He says he looks sheepish. My goodness,
the wee trophy kid.
Nisbet looked like he might have handled it. So we'll wait and see if that one stands. But what does stand is Ronan Hales. It's a lovely finish, a fierce drive into the bottom corner. And the small band of Hearts fans, smaller than usual, who made the trip, I don't think will be too impressed.
I think the small band tells its own story. That on top of all the other problems, 2 managers in 7 months, Ann Budge and Lawrence Shanklin under pressure for their off-field conduct. Now the supporters have turned their back on them because the attendance at the Hearts end is roughly 50% of what it would be under normal circumstances. And by normal circumstances, I mean Hearts not being in danger of the relegation playoffs.
Referee's gone over to take a look in Paisley, so you would suspect that the goal will not stand. Referee Ross Hardy going to check out the monitor. Sometimes they stick with their original decision, but generally speaking, it looks like that Aberdeen opener will be ruled out. Sheepish was the word Gabriel used, not me, about Kevin Nisbet's demeanour afterwards. Motherwell fire one over the top, as well as they look for an opener. Callum Slattery, who's been one of the bright sparks for Motherwell in recent weeks, goes over the top.
So on the as things stand table, Ross County move up to 38 points. Hearts are on 40 points. That means Hearts are back in the worrisome mix.
Yeah, it'd be hard to argue with that. Plenty more football to be played today. No goal in Paisley, so it remains St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0. Handball by Kevin Nisbet. How good was his goal last weekend?
Oh, I tell you what, technique-wise,
some finisher.
Yeah, I've got to say, brilliant. Because he's leaning back when he chests it down, but he knows what he's doing, and it's a fantastic
If it was up to you, would that land goal of the season at Fraser's do tomorrow?
Possibly could, yes. I'm trying to think of another one.
The shortlist was so there was loads on it. I'm not going to run through them all. Remember Jack Iredale in the Edinburgh Derby? He came volley into the far corner.
Good goal.
Iggemans against Celtic into the roof of the net. I think Callum McGregor's early season one was that Hibs.
Yeah,
scored a few, but I think the Hibs one that kind of curls into the corner.
Any team goals there? I like a team goal.
Yeah, the one that the nice one Celtic scored that ends with was it Kyogo or someone dinked the goalkeeper? Was it Dundee or something that came all the way from the one corner all the way up, and there was like a scandalous touch or something.
Is that against St Johnstone?
Or was it? It's one of them anyway. No, there are a few. I think this one's voted for by the public, so could be Andy's guess.
There are more awards every year. I know I've missed the last two, obviously.
They should have my budget of the year. Your budget was sick.
My budget was sick the last 2 years, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I really am, because Fraser puts on a good spread, and I was earwigging there, Hugh, about champagne reception. I don't know if I've got that in my invite.
Oh well, you see,
you won't be. It's only Hugh that gets.
How?
Yeah. If you were Fraser, you wouldn't give you champagne, would you?
He's invited me into that room before.
I mean, try to stay away from you. You do nothing but criticise the man.
Yeah, I just want to make sure he's okay and he's not too nervous about his speech. That's probably going to go on for an hour and a half.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I hope they don't bring the soup out.
Remind us of your teaser again, please, Hugh. Incidentally, he's doing his day job for now, and he says that Hibs are very much on top. Could get worse for Dundee United.
Can you name the 5 defenders who, since season 2015-2016, have 10 or more Premiership goals and played for only one of the current top flight clubs?
Not one person has got this all correct yet. People are getting close. Derek FM is very close, but Andy Considine played for St Johnstone very briefly, remember?
Yep.
The end of his career. And Mark 8355, whatever his long number after his name is very close as well. Very close. But Stephen Kingsley's most of his goals came in the Championship for Hearts. So there are a couple that are hitting the post, but nobody with all 5 correct. I told you before, 2 Rangers, 1 Celtic, 2 non-Old Firm. Okay.
You got the Celtic one, Mark?
No.
I think I've got it.
One's so difficult, really is. And fair play to him, because I don't think he's even, don't feel like he's been here that long, but he has racked up 10 goals in the Premiership, and he plays. He currently, there's another clue for you. This guy,
go.
the hardest of the lot, actually currently plays in the Premiership as well. Not much of a clue, is it? Never mind.
No, that narrows it down.
Yeah, I know. Clyde 2, Peterhead 0. Darren Hines with the goal there.
It's the annual fight for survival where Clyde are concerned, but they look like they're pulling it off.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee 1, Motherwell 0. Still work to be done for Motherwell to try and stay in the division. Dundee are trying to keep their part of it, and I think it was Antonio Portales who's getting the acclaim of his teammates. Runs away in celebration. Aston Oxborough, we said, back in goal for Motherwell, couldn't keep it out. It was a throw in, it was flicked on, it bounced, and Portales, defender, rifles a volleyed shot into the top corner. It is a stunning finish. It really is. Motherwell players didn't really know what was happening. The ball sat kindly for him, and it is an absolutely stunning strike from Portales.
And on the as things stand table in the bottom 6, Dundee would move on to 40 points, the same as HEA, RTS, who are currently being BEA-TEN.
That's a big afternoon if this keeps the way it's going. Hearts will be under severe pressure because they are brought right back into that mix there. You're right, Hugh. Ross County just now 38, Kilmarnock 41 as it stands, and Dundee 40. All of a sudden Hearts have a little bit of pressure on them.
We finally have one correct answer on that teaser, so keep going, because there's 2 spots left on the podium. And even if you don't think you can get them all, just chuck in some names and see how far you get. East Kilbride have equalised in that playoff to try and get into the SPFL, so
I'll be that
5-2 up, you would have to imagine.
Can I lose that?
They should be fine from there, but you never know. And you can keep your thoughts coming in all afternoon as well on something else rather than just the teaser. If you want to put a point across, at Clyde SSB is a good place to do so. But of course, get your guesses in and see if anyone else can join our first correct answer on the podium. You sure, Gordon? Are you still sure Motherwell would be safe if things were to end? So as it stands, as Hugh says, they'd only be 5 points above the relegation playoff.
Yeah, I just think
Kelly, Hearts, Dundee and Ross County would all be below them.
I think obviously they've still to play each other. I think there's too many games. I think 42s would be enough. Like, I certainly think that they'd love to get another maybe 1 point just to secure it. But 42 with every team below you try to, catch and overtake you, I don't think that's going to happen. Do you, Mark?
Nah, I think they'll be okay.
I think what it would do is absolutely everything would have to go against them, wouldn't it? Almost every single result would need to go against.
And that's never happening. So I think they'll be okay. What I would say for Dundee and Tony Docherty, see, I mentioned Hibs goals for column earlier on. See, when you look at Dundee's, that's 52-4, so far and away ahead of anybody in that bottom 6. That's that goals against tally, of course. 71 goals against. They went through that wee period where they take a few bad ones around about the Christmas period and that, of course. But that would frustrate you, because entertaining to watch. Fans will like seeing them going forward. They've got Simon Murray banging them in, but struggle to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, it's been a real mixed bag, hasn't it? The 2 boxes contributing quite a lot for Dundee. Remember the picture in those other games. Ross County are beating Hearts. Sack the board, shout the Hearts fans. In Dingwall. Kilmarnock are winning in Perth, so it'll be a long way back. St Johnstone are everyone's favourite to go down for weeks now, really. In fact, that would be 11 points as things stand between them and Ross County, so that would be that, wouldn't it?
They're gone. Yes. They're gone.
Mark Wilson made the point earlier on about the Hearts board, and everyone's under pressure there. Andrew McKinley, the chief executive, who has, he's overseen a season of chaos, and the clue's in the title. Chief, you're the chief, and it's not happening.
I think they made a mistake. I think they should have went with the manager until the end of the season and then removed him. I think you're putting okay, you can look at Liam Fox and argue, well, he was a manager at Dundee United, but he admitted himself he's more of a coach than he is a manager. I think you should have kept experience in the dugout, and then at the end of the season, if you're not happy, I think you then replace him. But they put themselves in a lot bit of trouble.
Where does it leave you as well with the whole idea of the club going down this analytics route, when the analytics serves up your manager who doesn't produce the results right away, but you sack him anyway before the end of the season? So what do? Do you go back to the analytics and have another go at that?
Who was second?
Who was second on that list? Or do you scrap that and do you...
It won't be getting scrapped, because to be fair, one thing, this is a long-term thing. This is a system that's supposed to square up the structure of your club for a long time to come. And you look at Brighton and the other clubs within the group that use Jamestown Analytics,
but they've abandoned it quickly into Critchley's terms. So
no, but I mean in terms of the next managerial recruitment process, it will be involved again. I mean, it's easy to scoff, I suppose, when it doesn't go wrong, but it works well at other clubs, doesn't it?
No, I agree that if that was their model to go down that route, great, fine, stick by it, but don't just abandon it by the end of the season.
I think the overwhelming suspicion has to be that when Neil Critchley has one defeat too many for them, Dundee at Tynecastle, Simon Murray inevitably, they use their eyes and ears, the crowd are going off their heads, and they believe this man Neil Critchley will take us to the relegation playoffs, and we don't know if we'll survive. And at that point, never mind analytics, never mind algorithms, he is going to cost us. Get rid of him.
But when it comes to the appointment, you're not listening to the crowd when you make the appointment. You're concentrated on analytics. So when it comes to the nitty gritty, surely you've got to block out the noise of the crowd and stick to your model and what you believe.
But not if instinctively, never mind as I say, the algorithms and the analytics. If you believe instinctively he is going to cost us, then you have to act on your gut reaction and not the machine.
I think what's interesting about Hearts as well is, and I'm not saying Neil Critchley would have been good at this, because you never know. This is maybe why they got rid of him. You're speaking about you spoke about Liam Fox, didn't you? And maybe been more of a coach. And I'm not saying he doesn't have this in his locker, but surely the psychology of the position Hearts are in is actually more important than ever. Because you're not in the position that threatens you right now. It's more about can you keep calm heads? Can you not panic? Can you not get dragged in? Someone mentioned the Hibs example from a few years ago. It's almost like when panic sets in, that's when you start to to drop.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need someone to stabilise the dressing room, and I guess then you need to judge who is the best character to do that. And Critchley, there's no doubt about it, was more experienced than Fox, but I don't know what Critchley was like in that respect. We'd assume that makes you, when you're more experienced, a calmer head. Maybe not. Maybe Liam Fox is a calmer head and able to get cut through to the players more. On today's evidence, of course, easy to say now, he's 38 minutes in and they're still 1-0 down. It doesn't look like that. You would
look at their next two games. Now, you would think 2 home games gives them a wee bit of advantage, but Dundee go there and turn them over. They've got Motherwell next week and then St Johnstone the following week. So you would probably think that Hearts will have enough to keep themselves away from that. But you're right, panic could set in. There's no doubt about that.
Right, finally we've got a couple of people getting there with the teaser, but there is scope for more. Hugh Keevins, give us the question again, please.
Okay. Can you name the 5 defenders who, since season 2015-16, have 10 or more Premiership goals and played for only one of the current top flight clubs?
Do you know what? It's all the same wrong answers, I think. I think we're nearly there. Oh, and we're interrupted by one of these, which we don't mind.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Goal Hearts, and he's smirking his way back to the halfway line because Lawrence Shankland has scored. He's stepped up when his side needed him, and it's Ross County 1, Hearts 1. About 12 yards out, a nice low finish, and that game in Dingwall is level.
Of all the players in all the teams this afternoon, 10 teams, of all the players who needed to score a goal, he was your man. Because after the kind of week he's had since the defeat from Dundee, he absolutely had to score for Hearts today. And to his credit, he's risen to the occasion, and they sure needed that goal.
Certainly did. Not just the week he's had, Hugh, the season he's had in comparison to last year, and everything that comes along with that, chopping and changing of managers, and he's the captain and he'll feel a responsibility for that, not scoring the goals, but as a leader of the team. So when his team need him most, he stepped up just before half time. That's a crucial goal up in Dingwall.
I wonder if he's playing today. I wonder if he's playing as a centre forward or that in that 10 role. I would play Shanklin as a centre forward all day long. I think he's a goal scorer. Right, he showed that last year. Then they dropped him into the 10. Look, he links the play up very well. But when you've got a guy that won Player of the Year and scored 30 odd goals as a centre forward, I don't know why you take him out of that position. That baffled me.
Really good goal, according to Dave Galloway. A nice touch just to create the angle, and a finish that leaves Jordan Amisa with no chance. And again, that changes things. I won't keep running through every permutation because there are still a few games to go in the league title race at the top, of course, and at the bottom 6 games. So 29 points in Johnston, 36 Ross County. Is that right? Is that as a result of being pegged back? I think it is.
Yep.
And Hearts sitting up there on 41.
On the same number of points as Kilmarnock, as things stand. So at least we're getting the kind of intrigue that the day had to offer. Everywhere. We're all still on a knife edge everywhere you look.
Yeah, it's very tight, isn't it? When you look Dundee, at the bottom out league, the way it's changing.
I think Dundee United are probably out of it at Easter Road, 2 down. You wouldn't see a way back.
Well,
for
certainly, I think Fraser will tell you, certainly need the next goal. But it's the home team that are probably playing the best football, probably get the best threat, and you would only imagine that Hibs are going to just go on and pick up a valuable 3 points.
Let's round off the teaser, Hugh, because I think we're finally there. It was very tough, but as usual, our listeners come up with the goods.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The 5 defenders who since 2015-2016 have 10 or more Scottish Premiership goals and played for only one of the current top flight clubs are James Tavernier, Rangers, 84 goals; Connor Goldson, Rangers, 15 goals; Dedrick Boyata at Celtic,
no way,
12 goals; Ryan Porteous at Hibs, 11 goals; and Joe Wright at Kilmarnock, 10 goals.
You're telling me James Tavernier has got more than 10, yeah?
I'm telling you, he's got 84.
Right, just checking. The rest were pretty close, but well done if you got it right. We got there in the end. Aaron M09, third place. Well done to you. Igaman Prop in second, and Derek FM 88 was the winner on the first half teaser.
Not getting that. We are not
Joe
getting
Wright,
that.
Kilmarnock.
Yeah. You sure it's 10 goals, not 10 red cards?
I'm telling you that James Tavernier has scored more than the other 4 put together.
You only got how many of them? 2?
2.
Yeah.
Tavernier and Goldson.
We were poor. Very poor.
Mind you, Dedrick Boyata,
never got
Not
that.
a chance.
No.
No way.
Many did you say you got, Hugh?
12
12 for
goals.
Dedrick Boyata, yeah.
Never got him.
I know, I can't even remember him being
No.
a prolific.
No.
I think Joe Wright's the surprise. That was the one I said. You know, he hasn't. I don't feel like he's been here that long. Well, he hasn't. And was he part of the team that came up? I think, was he, with Kilmarnock? Anyway, he's not. You know, not got the same longevity as some of the others like Tavernier and Goldson had, but he's managed 10 in the Premiership as well. So good on him.
Aye, brilliant.
Half-time scores slowly going to get here from the lower leagues first, as always. Fraser Wishart telling us he kicked off late at Easter Road.
Do you know, I looked around the studio and I seen the smirks on some people's faces. What I thought was poor when Fraser mentioned his poor wing mirror. I've got to say, I'd have loved to have been there at that moment just to see his lovely wee face.
I know you like to give him a hard time, but surely we can't be condoning criminal damage to his motor vehicle.
Not at all.
It's got to be a company car anyway, is it not?
Oh, I'd love
the PFA members are paying for that.
Yeah, I'd love to have seen his face.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee 2, Motherwell 0. It's Portales again, and it is the exact same goal that he scored the first time. It drops him in the box, left-footed, and he smashes it into the top corner beyond Aston Oxborough. Quite incredible. Obviously he's a defender by trade. He's played a midfield role recently for Dundee, and it is you'll struggle to see 2 more similar goals than this.
You sure you're not doing a Gordon Dale here and watching the replay?
It's Dale that's given us the updates from Dundee.
Or Dale, I mean, yeah. Then wow. Well, that is quite unusual, especially Portales scoring 2.
Wait till you see, genuinely, right? Both is a long throw into the box. The first ball isn't cleared. It sits at the edge of the box, and he hits it on the up with his left foot into the left-hand top corner.
He's
twice.
obviously thought, I've had the first one with success, let's have another go. Very rare that it happens similar.
Do you praise Portales for doing the same thing twice, or do you criticise Motherwell for losing a goal that's identical to the one they lost
by
earlier?
the sounds of it, you've got to praise that, surely, if it's a tough technique.
And you also, that's the beauty of the long throw, I guess. It's that chaos factor. It drops to him twice.
Yeah.
Other times it might not. But all of a sudden it's turned into a pretty ugly afternoon for Motherwell. I don't even think they'll be too annoyed at the overall way they are within the game, but they're 2-0 down. There is a VAR check on this one. Possibly someone in front of the keeper, maybe, but I think Kevin Clancy's doing the sign, no goal.
Oh no.
I'm telling you, just for the quirk factor, we have been robbed of an incredible quirk here. I'm really keen for you to all get to see these 2 goals and how similar they are, but this one's ruled out, so it doesn't count. It's 1-0 to Dundee. Not entirely sure why. It certainly wasn't someone standing in front. It must have hit Portales's hand before he struck it. Half time in Dingwall, Dave Galloway.
Half time, Ross County 1, Hearts 1. Hearts began well. Spittle whipped in a cross from the left. Grant couldn't connect properly with it, and the ball went wide. Spittle and Grant combined well to set up Shanklin, but the ball eluded him right in front of goal, and that was a head in hand moment for him. Ross County threatened finally with Harmon's shot in the box, charged down, and Kenna hitting a low drive well wide from about 25 yards. The visitors, though, looking the light clear team, and Forrest's side-footed effort was straight at Amisa. Then the same player could only hook over following a long ball upfield. Another good chance missed. But County went ahead against the run of play in 25 minutes with a great low finish by Hale into the bottom corner after Kenna's run and through ball. The Jam Tarts creating plenty openings, and at long last they deservedly equalised after 40 minutes. Beningame set up Shankland, who had a really good first touch, then an excellent finish across Amisa and in at the bottom corner from 12 yards. It's been a decent first half, but the scores are tied. Ross County 1, Hearts 1.
And half time in Paisley. Here's Gabriel.
Half time, it's St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0. Been 50-50 in this feisty first 45. The Dons started brightly. They had 4 corners in the opening 5 minutes. Leighton Clarkson then had a shot dragged just wide from inside the edge of the box. Interesting moment when Jeppe Ockels turned the ball in, thought he'd put the visitors 1-0 up, but instantly you could see Kevin Nisbet had handed it in the build-up. The referee overturned the decision after consulting the monitor, and the hosts grew into the game after that. Jonah Ayunga smacked one wide after cutting in from the left following a swift Saints attack, and Mark O'Hara had a good chance as well, almost a half volley just inside the box, saved low by Dimitar Mitov after good work down the right by Ryan Alabiosu, and Mikhail Mandron had an effort saved. Weak in the end, should have done better when coming in onto his stronger right foot. But the big two up top, Gordon, causing the Dons' backline problems. Ocean Smith is playing well in the middle of the park, as is Alabiosu on the right-hand side. Stephen Robinson's side certainly in the ascendancy before the whistle there. But it has been a dirty game. 4 yellow cards, 2 for each team issued there. Looking forward to the second half, Gordon. You feel like something's going to give one way or another. At the interval, it's St Mirren 0, Aberdeen 0.
Well, it's on a knife edge in that one. The half-time whistles are going pretty much everywhere. I'll bring you the full-time reports very soon. It's half-time at Dens Park, but it's now just still Dundee 1, Motherwell 0. That second goal from Portales ruled out. I'll tell you what, we'll do all the remaining half-time stories when we return.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
It's also half-time at Easter Road. Let's hear from Fraser.
It is Hibernian 2, Dundee United 0. A really good first 45 minutes for Hibs. Took the game to United from the kick-off. Their high-tempo performance has them deservedly 2 ahead. Goals from both their strikers, Boyle and Kuka Revic. The opener came in 3 minutes. Junior Hoyle has been outstanding. Lovely pass to set Chris Cadden in behind the defence. First time low cross into the thick sharp box. Declan Gallagher tried to clear it, but his clearance hit Martin Boyle and trickled into the back of the net, in off the post. A bit of fortune, but another goal for Boyle this season. Hibs fans really got going. It was all about Hibs from then on. Jack Walton denied. Kuka Revic, a really good save to his right, and then he got up quickly to parry the rebound from Hoylett away for a corner from 12 yards, but it was 2-0 on 14 minutes. A long ball over the top of United defence. Kukarevic inside left just ran on to unchallenged. His pace took him past Gallagher into the box, and his low finish across Walton dribbled in off the post into the back of the net. It was a tough start for United, their first chance, and in fact their only shot on target came in 18 minutes. Sam Dalby with the shot from 20 yards straight to Jordan Smith, and then it's back to Hibs dominating. Hoylett at the centre of everything. Boyle almost in behind on a couple of occasions. Then he did get clear. For some reason he delayed his shot and tried to cross it, but he was tackled and the chance was gone. Then Ross Docherty tried his luck. The Dundee United skipper 25 yards out. His shot took a big deflection off Bashiri, sent keeper the wrong way, but was inches wide. But all in all, been a real struggle for the Tannadice side, and Jim Good will know it could have been more for Hibs, but his team have still got a chance. They had decent possession of the ball, but they need to offer more in the last third, and they must get the next goal, and I think he might even make a couple of changes at the break. All good for Hibs so far. Half-time at Easter Road to Hibernian 2, Dundee United 0.
It's also half-time at McDermott Park, St Johnstone Kilmarnock. Here's David Friel.
Half time here, St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1. Kelly Head, nothing really going right for St Johnstone, to be honest. Simo Valakari's side trailing to David Watson's. Brilliant strike for Kelly. They need a big second half to keep those slim survival hopes alive. Saints have had big chances. He actually started well. Josh McPake had an early shot block. Kelly then settled. Fraser Murray, Danny Armstrong had effort saved by Andy Fisher before Watson's opener in 12 minutes. Bobby Wills and Corey and Dabber were involved. The ball was worked to the midfielder on the edge of the box. He got it out of his feet, curled a brilliant finish into the bottom corner. Kelly almost made it 2-0 through Danny Armstrong, but St Johnstone come back into it after that. They had big chances to level before the break. Uchek Piatsu, crosser Mackenzie Kirk, he couldn't get his finish on target. The roles are then reversed. In 33 minutes, when Kirk's header found it, Piatsu 6 yards out, but Kieran O'Hara made a big save. Saints are still in this game, but they'll need to up their game in the second half to get that win they really need. Half time, St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Big score lines coming in. I'll give you the half-time story from Dundee against Motherwell very soon indeed, but just a quick reminder of the way those things sit at the break. Hibs 2-0 up against Dundee United, as we just heard from David. St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 1, goalless between St Mirren and Aberdeen, and Ross County and Hearts 1 each. Let's hear from Dale, who has watched the game between Dundee and Motherwell so far.
Yes, Gordon, it's half-time here at Dens Park, and it's the home side to lead 1-0. A fairly quiet start to the match, but it was Motherwell with the first real chance of the half after a nice interchange between Tom Sparrow and Callum Slattery down the right-hand side, with the latter hitting a low-driven shot into Carson, who saved comfortably. It's Oxborough on his return to Motherwell's starting 11, who's been the busier of the two goalkeepers, and Dundee forced him into a double save around 12 minutes into the game when Adeomi broke into the Motherwell box, with the goalkeeper coming to meet him. The ball deflected out to Larkesh, but Oxford recovered in time to slap the ball away. After that, Dundee continued with more pressure as Adeomi and Larkesh caused Motherwell a headache down the left-hand side. Oxborough is again forced into action from a Lyle Cameron corner, swung in with Joe Shaughnessy meeting it and sending a low header down the left, but the goalkeeper again saved well. He was eventually beaten though with a fantastic effort from Antonio Portales at around the half-hour mark. A long throw into the Motherwell box broke to the Mexican defender, come midfielder, who absolutely rifled the ball from the edge of the box into the top left corner. On the stroke of half-time, he had the ball in the back of the net again, but it was ruled out for VAR. I'm not entirely sure what that was ruled out for, potentially for a player blocking the goalkeeper's view. Slattery has been the danger man for the away side. He sent a speculative effort wide through the post on the 25th minute mark with a nice link up from Harry Payton after that, who slid the ball to the midfielder across the box, but his shot was blocked and eventually cleared by the Dundee defence. Half time here at Dens Park. It's Dundee 1, Motherwell 0.
Second half's coming up very soon. We'll take another breather and then get them underway.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Save like a world-class keeper. Get a great price on your next car.
Discover amazing prizes every week at winhappy.com, where there's always something huge up for grabs. From the latest tech to life-changing cash prizes and more. And get 25% off online entries with the code PODCAST. Don't miss out. Head to winhappy.com. The next big winner could be you. T's and C's apply. Promo code valid online only until July 7th.
Win big. Win happy. The freedom to chase adventure starts with the right protection for your pet. Strap in with Seresto Flea and Tick Control Collar. Seresto provides 7 to 8 months of protection in a single application, giving you ultimate peace of mind. No monthly treatments, no mess, no grease and no smell. Just long-lasting, clinically proven protection against fleas and ticks, so you're ready for whatever adventure awaits. Strap in with Seresto. To find out more, visit seresto.co.uk.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Kick high prices to the curb. Drive away with huge savings. The fastest goals. The experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Duncan are here. We're getting the second half underway across the country, across the Premiership in the 3 o'clock games. Some massive matches, most importantly in terms of the tension and the drama. It's all about the teams trying to stay in the division. But there's a big game in the race for third as well, and it is going the way of Hibs. They're 2-0 up against Dundee United at the break. As you would expect, Dundee United have responded, or it looks like they will, with the change. Trapanovsky was stripped and going through the warm-up. The teams are not out yet though, Fraser Wishart, are they?
No, they're not. The players are still going through the warm-up, but not many subs in the Dundee United side. There might even be another couple. Rudy Payton left the players that are warming up to go up the tunnel as well, and I'm not surprised. I said that during the half-time report, that there might be a couple of changes, because they need to win this game. You know, they need to get the 3 points, otherwise their chance of finishing third is pretty much gone. With only 3 games to go, they'd be 6 points behind, and they've been second best all over. They've actually had decent possession, but they've only 1 shot on target, and it could have been worse. Jack Walton's made 3 or 4 really good saves, especially a double save from Kukarevich, and then up quickly to deny Hoylett. But Junior Hoylett's caused him all sorts of problems, starting in number 10 position, but on a kind of left-hand side, and he's just drifting, getting on the ball, and he's the man that's creating everything for Hibs as well. So they could be further ahead, but as we always say, the third goal's vital. If United get it, then all of a sudden the game just changes. But I have to say, Hibs have been very impressive. I don't see anything other than them going on to win the game, but have to take a big change in the match dynamics for United to get back into this one.
Good response though from Hibs, Fraser, if anyone was wondering if last weekend's defeat was going to be, a bubble burster.
Yeah, they went at it straight from kick-off, Gordon. I said before the game I thought they would get after Dundee United and impress them, and they did that, and that's been their success, playing with a 3-4-3. And when teams are trying to play out from the back and they're trying to be fancy, they keep the 3 players up and they don't let them out of the penalty box. And if they get out of the penalty box, the midfield players are up as well. And the number of times they've taken the ball off United inside their own half has really caused United so many problems. But I have to say, Glenn Middleton's actually going to come on as well. So a couple of positive changes. Trapanovsky and Middleton are going to be the 2 changes. I'm just looking to see who's coming off here. It looks like it's going to be David Babunski, and waiting for the board to go up to tell us the second substitution, and it's going to be Jort van der Sande. No surprise, neither player really playing much part in the game, but Hibs know they've been excellent. But as I said before, if United just somehow nick a goal, all of a sudden the whole dynamic of the game changes.
Thanks to Fraser. We'll keep an eye when that one gets back underway. Craig Gordon's made a really smart stop to keep out Ronan Hale's shot. Andy Halliday had a header over there for Motherwell as they looked to level, but it was from a difficult angle and never really looked like causing any problems. Johnny Katrumbis, a half-hearted penalty claim for Motherwell, didn't come to anything. Mikel Mandron's just gone into the book. He tried an overhead kick for St Mirren, ended up kicking Alfie Dorrington, and goes into the book there as well. Motherwell making a half-time change to Wanda Maswanisi, replacing Harry Payton. So it's all set up for a good second half. Hugh?
I like Maswanisi. He's got terrific feet, knows his way to goal as well. Motherwell can't hang about. They're a goal down. They don't want to get any bother going into the final 3 games of the season. So for me, everything is in the balance with the exception of Hibs Dundee United. I know that Jim Goodwin has made changes. The like of Glenn Middleton will be a good arrival for him. However, I think they're just too far gone now.
I sort of agree with Fraser. I think in games like this, and we've seen it before, the manager makes a few substitutions. He's looking for a response, and that's what Jim will be looking for with Dundee United. Next goal so important. Obviously if Hibs get that, yes, you can say the game's well and truly gone. But if Dundee United could just snatch a goal, puts a little bit of pressure on them, gets them back into the game, you rarely find that 2 halves are the same. I know Hibs have dominated the first half, 2-0 up, really cruising, but goals can change games, and the next goal is so important at Easter Road.
Did Peterhead win the league?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And they're 4-1 down to Clyde.
That's because it's been on the lash all week, probably.
Yeah.
That's what always happens.
I think Arbroath as well. Since Arbroath won the league, they've had a few dodgy results as well, so they've certainly enjoyed themselves. A long hard season, Hugh, for these players. Once they go over the line, they're entitled to
Clyde haven't scored 4 goals in 1 game since Craig Brown was a manager.
Rory McKenzie came on at half time in place of Bobby Wales for Kilmarnock. Rory McKenzie has since tumbled in the box. The referee is having a look, Ian Snedden, because it went up the other end, and then Uche Piazzu had a header wide. Of course, waiting for the chance for VAR to take a look at it, and they are. So we'll see if Kilmarnock have a penalty and the chance to double their advantage. Let's do the teaser, Hugh, whilst we are waiting, because we want to give you as long as possible on this one.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Just a quick word from our podcast sponsors, Wire, the best way to own an electric vehicle. Wire is a car purchasing platform that only sells 100% electric vehicles. So they'll walk you through the process of selecting a fully electric car that meets both your needs and your desires. Wire prove that virtually every car buyer can go electric today. They've got affordable options, saving you thousands on your next car through the Salary Boost scheme. The scheme makes purchasing an electric vehicle a sensible financial decision. Make sure you check out trywire.com for more information and how you can sign up. Now let's get back to the podcast.
And now the weather.
Temperatures are set to soar, with burning toes continuing throughout the week. An itchy front is approaching, so expect plenty of cracking across the bottom of the foot.
Athlete's foot on your mind? Lamisil Once, the only athlete's foot treatment that relieves symptoms, kills fungus and helps stop it coming back with just one application. Get feet off your mind with Lamisil. Available in most boot stores, subject to availability. Lamisil is a medicine that contains terbinafine. Always read the leaflet before use. Adults over 18. Verify at lamisil.uk.
I have played with Aaron Ramsey, Sol Campbell and Tam McManus. How did young Thomas get in there? I have played under two managers with the same surname. And I've played in Scotland, England and two countries on the continent. Who am I? I played with Aaron Ramsey, Sol Campbell and Tam McManus. I played under two managers with the same surname. And I've played in Scotland, England and two countries on the continent. Who am I?
Good question. At Clyde SSB, throw some names in, see what sticks and try ultimately to get it quicker than everyone else. Penalty, Kilmarnock. It was given. Ian Snedden went and took a look, and it was given. Fraser Murray's doing the old protecting the penalty spot because everyone else is going to try and scuff it up.
Aye.
Did they do that in your day? Is that like a modern phenomenon?
Just scuff up the penalty spot? I'm sure they would have,
and maybe just more cameras these days. Danny Armstrong is going to be the man to take it, to try and double the advantage and look to condemn
St
Johnstone.
Yep.
My ball, Armstrong.
Your ball. You like that one about him? Good player.
Yeah.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
And score he does. St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 2.
Well, Derek McInnes can, relax now. They will be safe. 3 points in the bag. And it's been a poor season for Kilmarnock, but I always thought with Derek McInnes at the helm and the quality of players that they've got, I thought they were always going to be okay. And for St Johnstone, that certainly is curtains for them.
Well, do you think that if Ross County had to beat Hearts, is Kilmarnock not still in that?
Nah, they'll be fine. You've got to think as well what an away win does for the confidence as well at this stage. When you're going into your remaining games, is that feel good factor about the place. So I think they'll be okay, and I'm not just sure Ross County will get the job done against Hearts now at Dingwall.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Game on at Easter Road because Trapanovski's pulled one back for Dundee United. It was all about the fast start Hibs made to the first half. Well, Dundee United have made a quick start to the second. Trapanovski's got his goal and it's Hibs 2, Dundee United 1.
I told you the manager makes a substitution, changes one or two things tactically. He's looking for a response. The two halves always there's a little change in the domination of the game. Dundee United's come out the traps, and Fraser was right. He says goals change games. Dundee United right back in this one.
Looks different now, Hugh.
Yeah, good in-game management from Jim Goodwin, a test of David Gray, who, remember, this is his first season as a manager. Jim Goodwin's been round the block several times, and his experience is told in United's favour just now. 2-1, game on.
Always good when you make a change like that and it pays off instantly. So yeah, every chance of getting back in that. And Jim's installed a great fighting spirit in that United team. I think the stat popped up last week, goals scored at the end of games, and Celtic were the leaders, United right behind them. So not done and dusted by a long shot, that one.
Yeah, he fired in a loose ball from Will Ferry's long throw, just as Portales did earlier for Dundee, with one disallowed as well. Here's the stat I need. Is this the longest total distance that players have thrown the ball this season?
Go.
Because No, genuinely, it feels like every team
has got a long throw.
And the thing has been, it just feels like more than usual. You mentioned Will Ferry, Astley's doing it at Dundee. It feels like there are quite a lot of clubs in there. Kofi Balmer, when he plays at Motherwell, can launch it about the length of 3 football pitches.
Tell you what, the Championship have got a couple of chuckers in there. Every game it seems a team's got a long throw.
There's a guy in our show made a career out of a long throw. Right? And he's well known at Fir Park for it. He was brilliant, this boy. Honestly, yeah. Let it go for a shy, Fraser. Don't control it. I think we'll have a better chance of quality.
Did he really have a long throw, Fraser?
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
I can remember him playing, but I can never remember the throw-in.
A willing runner with no ability, he was called at Fir Park. But he had a fantastic long throw.
I can see you getting no starter or pudding tomorrow night.
I don't know.
Puts that in his speech.
I don't know how we even get an invite. Never mind a starter.
He did have a long throw, he's confirmed.
Oh, he did. Honestly, God, he was famous for it at Fir Park.
Clarkson and Ockles off, Pulvara and McGrath on as Aberdeen mix things up, try and go for the win.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Tilleen got cup final in the week in which Aberdeen got 20,000 tickets for the Scottish Cup final. They've got Celtic at Pittodrie on the 14th in the league, and then 10 days later it's the Scottish Cup final. They want to maintain momentum. They beat Hibs last week. They want to maintain momentum, but St Mirren aren't there just to make up the numbers.
What would you do in that situation? You know, you've got Celtic coming to Pittodrie. You play them in a couple of weeks in the cup final. Just mix up your team, or would you use it as a dry run?
I would mix up my team.
Yeah. Play the kids, play the guys that have many minutes.
I would play a mixture. Yeah.
Is this Aberdeen?
Yeah.
But they've got things to play for just now, though.
Nah, if they don't win today and Hibs win,
they won't finish as high as they can, though.
Yeah, they'll finish 4th, won't they?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Ross County 1, Hearts 2, and it's Lawrence Shankland again. A good time to find his shooting boots. Forrester's driven cross there with Shankland with the finish, and after falling behind early on in this one, Hearts lead.
And on all known form, Ross County won't come back. So as I said, of all the players in all the teams, this sounds like Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca.
Yeah, I was thinking that, Hugh, for the
he had to get
generation.
a goal, and now he's got 2, and he will be the saviour.
It's what big players do, you know, at big clubs. They turn up when needed most, more often than not. And Shankland, he's had a tough season, but when his club needed him just now, and today, going to go behind, big pressure game. And you're right, the week that they've had, he's stood up, got the 2, and I don't think Ross County will come back from that either.
In the words of Anbudge, the smirk was yesterday's news.
And he's on a hat-trick now, Lawrence Shankland. He's got his double, still over half an hour to go. You wouldn't bet against him, would you?
Well, the one thing, he won't be substituted. That's what normally happens to strikers on 2 goals. Usually see a substitution coming on. He'll certainly be kept on the pitch. Look, he's a number 9. I keep going back to it. I don't know why anybody took him out of the position and played him as a 10. He can play there, but his threat is in that penalty box. He's a goal scorer. They put him in the number 9 position today. What happens? He scored 2 goals. It's not rocket science.
Well, in that case, does that not tell you why Neil Critchley got the bag? Because he thought it was rocket science, and he put him Shankland somewhere else.
Lawrence Shankland's missed chances this season as well. It's not like all of a sudden.
No, but what I'm saying, I think he's a better threat as a number 9 than as a 10. Yes, he'll probably have missed a few chances, but I'll tell you what, if you'd have started him every week as a number 9, he'd had more goals than what he's sitting on just now.
So credit to Liam Fox for putting him back in that role today.
Yeah,
identifying that.
Yeah, it's the first thing I would have did as if I walked in as a manager. He'd be my number 9, simple and straightforward as that. He's a goal scorer. Why would you put your goal scorer deeper to link up the play? It's ridiculous. People have to wake up to this game.
You're talking to the Maryhill Mourinho here.
I take in every bit of advice this guy gives me, even when we're chatting about stuff during the break.
Yeah.
Take everything on board.
You got to have a good night.
They nearly scored again. Alan Forrest was through, but the effort was eventually cleared off the line. I'm not saying Motherwell are struggling to create anything, but Dan Casey just drove forward from defence and hit one from about 48 yards, which flew over the bar.
Are you suggesting that Motherwell have run out of ideas?
Yeah, I don't think it's been a particularly.
They're still in the game. 1-0 Hugh. I think they've got a little bit of it.
Goal flashes.
Maybe they're not in the game anymore.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
Oh, they are, because Motherwell have equalised, and it's Tom Sparrow. Been a really good signing for Motherwell this season. Scored last week as well. Came up from Stoke, started in midfield, played right back, and the ball, Lennon Miller kind of bundled his way forward and then deflected into the path of Sparrow, and he fired high from close range.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Goal St Mirren, that could be a big one in the race for third. They've taken the lead over Aberdeen, and it is Mikel McMandron, Scotland's next striker perhaps. It's a free kick in from Mahara, chests it in the box, finishes it as it drops. That's a good goal that from Mikel Mandron, and it's St Mirren 1, Aberdeen 0.
Sparrow swoops and Mandron makes the running for St Mirren. If Stevie Clarke should ever see Mandron's miss against Rangers last weekend, he'll never stop laughing. But Mandron has picked himself up and come good again this weekend.
It's always got a bit difficult one for Aberdeen. I don't think they particularly like going there. And obviously St Mirren, no pressure on them. Great season. They go out there, they make it very difficult. I think Gabs is right. They do play to a certain system. They get it forward quickly. They like to use the centre forwards. They bounce off second balls, and they're a real threat. And
they're having a look at the St Mirren goal for an offside check. Got a lengthy gap. That Spittle has hit the bar for Hearts. They're already 2-1 up, but they could have put the game to bed. Motherwell let one fly from distance as well. They're looking confident after that Tom Sparrow goal. So it's all heating up, but nicely the St Mirren goal stands. So as you were.
Well, it's a blow for Jimmy Tilleen. As I said, he wants to maintain momentum. Everything is about the cup final. I mean, if you're going to finish third or fourth but could win the Scottish Cup final, Scottish Cup final is far more important. So he wants to maintain momentum, but at the moment he's hit that proverbial bump in the road.
Remind us of your teaser, please, Hugh.
I have played with Aaron Ramsey, Sol Campbell and Tam McManus. I have played under 2 managers with the same surname, and I've played in Scotland, England and 2 countries on the continent. Who am I?
Quinn thinks it's Andy Halliday.
Oh no.
Greg's Gardens thinks it's Matt Ritchie.
No, it's not.
Ryan O'Neill thinks Anthony Stokes.
Nah.
Okay, keep the guesses coming in, please, at Clyde SSB. Incidentally, Mr. Who Am I? Have you made any headway with this?
I think that it's one of my favourite sayings, is it?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, I've got it.
Don't elaborate, please.
Yes, I've got it.
Blair Alston's put Stenhousemuir 2-1 up against Dumbarton on the 60-minute mark there. It's all happening.
Yeah, it is indeed. The Dazzler has it.
Good. Very good, very impressive.
Now, all you need is 2 goals for Ross County, and you are the tipster of the year.
I'm loving the tension in the playoff to try and get into the SPFL. Remember, East Kilbride went up to Brora today 4-1 up.
What's the score?
3-1 down.
5-4.
And now East Kilbride have scored again.
6-4.
3-2 on the day. 6-4.
What a game, what a game.
Jal Balde has got one. And with an hour gone, 6-4 on aggregate. According to Hugh, I'm just trusting him. I can't count, so.
Tense stuff. And I take it Brora as a grass pitch. It will be.
I think so. Yeah,
Ever
I think
played up there, Matt?
Yes, I did. Brora, I said, remember I told you last week, played for Scotland up there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Was it Elgin you get sacked?
I did. I get sacked at Elgin. Never forget that.
There's one of
Straight in the
those
shed.
Highland clubs I've supported.
No, what they did was they left me over the weekend and then left me to take training on the Monday and sacked me right after training.
Look at them now.
Good.
Look at. Do you know something? That's what they say. All good coach stroke managers learn from their sackings, and this man has certainly picked up that up.
It's a really catchy saying that.
I've never heard that saying.
Yeah,
I like the stroke in the middle of it as well, in particular.
Well, we don't know what he is. Are you a head coach? Are you an assistant? Are you a manager? What are you?
Co-manager.
Just a coach. Right. Just a coach.
I know outside the studio.
Like, remember all those kids
I know
Calling
outside the studio what you are, but I'm looking at the football sense here.
Coach, that's it.
You coach,
co-manager,
advice giver.
Do you?
I could give you advice about your lifestyle.
Do you
out of this studio?
I don't think there's anybody born could give me advice about my lifestyle.
People have gone through degrees for tens of years that couldn't give you advice about your lifestyle.
Keep your guesses coming then at Clyde SSB on the teaser. If the start to these second halves are anything to go by, we're in for a feast of goals throughout this second half. Remember, Tom Sparrow equalised for Motherwell.
That when Portales' second goal for Dundee was ruled not a goal by VAR, I said to the guys, lifeline, that's a lifeline. And to be fair to Motherwell, they've grabbed the lifeline.
Interesting to hear if Tony Docherty's particularly annoyed, because it's not that clear as to why that goal was ruled out, that second one. But I suppose that's VAR for you. It's hard to get the exact information. Teams are getting to the hour mark and beyond, so they're making those substitutions. There are a few. Dabag on for Keskinen for Aberdeen. They need something. They trail St Mirren by a goal to 0. Josh Campbell on for Hoylett. Hibs lead Dundee United 2-1. And Kilmarnock leading 2-0 against St Johnstone, who've swapped a couple. Sidibe and Clark on for Griffith and Kirk.
But that's the one that's done and dusted. But I wonder if there's a goal somewhere along the line at Easter Road, whether that be an equaliser or Hibs just stretching their legs if Dundee United are really going for it. And up in Dingwall, you'd fancy Hearts to hold on.
Oh yeah.
But you just never know. Once it gets past that hour mark, you start looking at the watch, the old stopwatch in the pocket, Hugh. Then
yeah.
Did you keep looking at it last night?
I thought it stopped. How long it was taking. I had a wee glance.
Somebody sent me a message, forgive me, I can't remember who it was, saying that he was up the dark arts. Said it was a great time wasting from Thistle and game management.
That's nothing to do with me. I can't control what the players do.
Said the stopwatch was getting a few outings.
Were you pointing to the stopwatch to the ref? Ref. Come on, it's Saturday.
I would have been him.
Saturday morning. Come on.
No, I keep myself to myself in the touchline.
Caelan Boyd-Munce has been one of the top performers for St Mirren in recent times. He's come on for Ocean Smith.
Leaving at the end of the season, Boyd-Munce. Good player for them.
Definitely.
Yeah, going.
Where's he going then?
That's not been confirmed, but he is going.
We'll have offers, I'm sure.
Well, it's an interesting time of the season because all those players that have got 1 year contracts and they're expiring pretty soon. Some wouldn't have been told, some would have been told in advance, and it's interesting to see how the remaining few weeks of the season pans out for those. Some of them just performance levels go through the roof because they are looking for a new club.
When your new contract was coming up, you hit top form, didn't you? Yeah. I used to look about March and think, right, time to get the boots back on.
Time to start running a bit.
Get the mileage in. The new contract is ready.
Well, the number one contract story of the season is going to be Greg Taylor's, isn't it? And it's still not
solved yet.
Solved either way.
I thought it was close as well.
Well, by all accounts, you're hearing reports that it was getting closer or was heading in a more positive direction, but no, it hasn't been.
I think because the weeks are now long for Celtic in terms of there's no midweek distraction, you think that would have been very close, if not tied up by now.
Well, the Jota injury has brought the Celtic squad into sharp focus, I think, because Jota will be out for the best part of a year, let's be honest. Greg Taylor's future uncertain. Tomorrow Celtic will play without the number one goalkeeper. They'll start without the number one right back. Alistair Johnson out.
What's up with Alistair Johnson anyway?
He's got an issue, but he's been managed, I think, for the cup final.
Oh, is he? Right, okay.
So I think if the cup final was tomorrow, he would play in it, but he's definitely going to miss this one. I think an injection or something.
I think Brendan Rodgers' close season will be as interesting as whoever is Rangers manager. I think there's a lot to be done. Well, there's certainly an awful lot to be done at Rangers, but there's a bit to be done at Celtic as well.
St Mirren goalkeeper making a decent save there as Aberdeen looked for that equaliser. Hearts are making changes, but they're 2-1 up now, so it's going to be a tense end to the game. I'll remind you of the way the table looks at the moment as things stand. So St Johnstone, I think everyone's got them going anyway. As it sits though, 6 points behind Ross County. So technically there is a way back there, even if people do see it as being far away. And I don't think anyone would really breathe easy if it was to finish the way it is at the moment. Dundee would still only be 3 points above the playoff spot. Kilmarnock would be 6 points above the playoff spot. So still lots to happen, lots to get through.
St Johnstone will need to go to a medium to find a way back.
Who do they play next week? Do we know?
Who?
St Johnstone. Anyway, I think it's too far down the line. And
next week, no, hold on a second, right? They play Ross County next week. There's 6 points between them right now.
And one of it.
I'm not saying they're going to stay up, but you win that game, it goes to 3 points with 2 to play. You'd have to say there's a chance.
Goal difference is tight as well.
Where is that game? Perth or Dingwall?
Perth.
Then Ross County go to the Tynecastle. No, they can't. They're playing
next week in the bottom 6 is St Johnstone. Oh, you're talking about after that? Sorry, who do you want to know?
Ross County.
After they play St Johnstone,
yeah,
they go to, if you bear with me, so Hearts at home. Oh, is that in between? No, sorry, Dundee away after that. Yeah.
Oh, all of a sudden.
Actually, maybe life for Simo.
Yeah.
But then, of course,
they need to win.
Ross County could get an equaliser here. Dundee could get a winner against Motherwell. So there's still a lot to happen.
I'd bet on a Shankland hat-trick before I done a Ross County equaliser.
Would you?
Yeah.
You know what that means, don't you?
Yeah. Here it comes.
Shankland will be subbed. No, he'll be subbed in 2 minutes.
And Hale will score the equaliser and get a brace.
This is what makes a career.
Correct, you. Absolute correct.
Motherwell probing there, trying to find the leading goal in that one, but it stays Dundee 1, Motherwell 1. Reminder of your teaser again, Hugh, if you can.
I have played with Aaron Ramsey, Saul Campbell and Pam McManus. I have played under 2 managers with the same surname, and I played in Scotland, England and 2 countries on the continent. Who am I?
Good question. Really, really good question that. Gordon Dale's got it. He's usually quite good at these. And the old who am I in the second half. It took him a while though. He wasn't as quick as some of you.
Has a lot of people got that?
Yeah, I'd say there's quite a few getting it now. I think most of them have got the bit between their teeth. Chris thinks it could be Ashley Cole.
And then again,
no. So there we go. What was it? I'm trying to figure out who these people think the managers are.
Yeah.
That have been the 2 managers with the same surname.
I'm still trying to figure that out, and I know the answer.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one up here, you can put that one together, can't you?
Ah, okay.
At his first club up here, the one he came to alone.
Oh, right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the manager there at that time though? Right, okay. Got it now.
It's very hard to have secrets live on radio.
That's
good. When we're not giving away the answer to the teaser.
You got it?
Yep.
Quite tricky that. Kieran Bowie on for Kukarevich. I'm fascinated by Kieran Bowie's season because I feel like he's having a really good season, Kieran Bowie, and yet he hasn't really started many games at all. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. He did start against Aberdeen last week. I think he's got 4 league starts. 4. I feel like he's had a good season. Does that make any sense?
When did he have the injury?
Yeah, he had the injury, but it's even at that, most of the good appearances seem to have been off the bench.
And you know what? Probably coincides with that great run that Hibs have been on, and David Gray thinking, well, I'm not really going to change what I've got here, but a promising young player. And Hibs are pretty strong in that area at the minute. Wonder what the transfer window will look like, the summer will look like for David Gray as well. Big club. If he makes third, what are their ambitions? European football. Can they strengthen that backline? I know that backline's look good for now, but certainly always needs work.
Well, I think the January window was quite telling, though, wasn't it? They couldn't really do much. Hibs, I don't think they were able to. And
they had loads of players just on long-term contracts from previous managers.
If you finish third in the European football and all that sort of stuff, then.
Right, the first name associated with Hibs, I always get it wrong. Is it Regan Charles Cook? Charles Regan Cook?
Oh, Regan Charles Cook, yeah, you're right, he was linked. I saw that.
He's the first one.
Where is he now? Down south?
Went to Belgium, I think it was.
But he's out of contract, and when he
had a great season at Ross County.
Yeah, I always thought he looked a good player.
Was he nominated for Player of the Year?
He was nominated, yes.
He's a Malky Mackay boy. I mean, Malky had him Dingwall, and now something's happened. No. There was an exasperated look there.
Oh no, Motherwell coming very close at the back post.
Often forget about Malky Mackay because the focus is purely on David Gray. But Malky's had to sit there and be patient and should take credit for keeping David Gray in the job.
He also makes the occasional appearance, as they say in today's world, on the grass.
Does he really?
Training.
Okay.
So I'm told.
Does he?
What do you think about that?
Well, I used to go in and take your sessions for it.
You used to say, what's going on here while you were sitting with a cup of coffee? If you were even there.
You seen me.
You were negotiating soup prices up in the cafe while I was doing the session.
My lunch.
Remember the soup we used to get every day?
Yeah. Looked after you, boy.
The game's been good to you.
Game's been great to me. I love the game. The game's been great to me.
Do you think he'll remember you if he can pull it off? If they can get Thistle to the top flight, do you think you'll get some sort of role within the operation?
Absolutely no chance. No. He's
But he had his chance. He had his chance to make up to the Thistle fans and come along when I joined under 18 coach and invited him along to make peace, and he rejected them. So
I didn't reject anybody. I love the Jags. I've got a soft spot.
I still can't believe you played for them. I need to get some sort of footage. Is there any footage of him donning the Partick Thistle colours?
To be fair, I don't
think there's much. No,
I think playing for them is a sort of a
loose term.
Yeah. I was contracted. That's all we'll say.
So remind us, Mark, what's your playoff schedule looking like now?
We have Ayr United home on Tuesday and then away on Friday. So a pretty tight turnaround, the playoff schedule.
I think I get a good reception coming to that game.
From who?
United and Partick.
Do you want to come? Oh, you're working on Tuesday. Just come along.
No, Friday.
Come along Friday. It's a Somerset.
Yeah, because I've never been back since the day I left during the game.
That'd be good. Come down.
I'd like to. Will you get me a ticket?
Surely here we'll give you a ticket in hospitality.
Don't you get me
stuff you did for here. You know what's going on about the semi-finals and
finals, league title.
They won't even give you any hospitality.
Finished second in the championship when we couldn't go up because of the stadium criteria. I'm not a bitter man.
What other achievements you got? Did you beat Kilmarnock?
I never lost a goal. Kilmarnock 3 games in the cup. Never lost a goal. Beat them 3 times.
The next question is, what did you do that was so bad for you?
Are we to assume that you left under a cloud?
No, I left when it was 0-0 with 20 minutes gone.
Start the engine. We're out of here.
I'll never forget the security guy at the door's face when I walked by him and jumped in my luxury car, and away I went, peeping the horn.
On the subject of the championship, why don't we hear from John McGlynn after last night's success?
Yeah, to go back to back, championship winning, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, it has to be the best. To go invincible last year, to step up to a better level, a much better level, and win it. Yeah, we had a little bit of wobble, but we came out on top. The players showed great character. We played our football tonight. We won convincingly, even although we had. Hamilton went ahead and we had to bounce back, and we did. And we played some great stuff and deserved winners of the league. So it's right up there, it's the top, yeah.
I love the story, Mark. You look at the squad, and at the start, lots of it was the same players. Brad Spencer and Calvin Miller, they were shortlisted for Player of the Year in League One. They're now shortlisted in the Championship. They've been real mainstays, cornerstones of the team. Adds a bit of stardust with Scott Arfield on the pitch. That brings all the storylines off it as well. And then some of the other recruitment. We speak about Caelan Adams from Cumbernauld Colts in the Lowland League,
Barney Stewart from Heriot
from university football. It's just an incredible story all round.
Well, just an outstanding coach. I think he's right. I mean, how can you bear that back to back? Invincibles last season, but to come up against some of the teams in the league, obviously Livingston coming down, but Ayr United with Scott Brown and the optimism that was surrounding that club. You've got Dunfermline and Morton in there, season campaigners. Thistle, of course, were one of the favourites. just kind of blow everybody away. And he's right, they did take a wee wobble, but they were consistent with their approach. They didn't change much in terms of style, or they just got better from what they were at League One, and that confidence breathed right through the club. So definitely well deserved. Recruitment was key with John McGlynn. You're right in highlighting Arfield that came in at a crucial time of the season, and it was every one of them. No, 10 of their players were in Team of the Year last year, and they just one missed it, which was a bit harsh.
Listen, I think that everyone in football wouldn't begrudge John McGlynn this championship. He's been brilliant. He's a real football man. And also you've got to give Paul Smith, his assistant manager, and his coaching staff all the credit as well. They worked very hard.
He suffered an illness as well.
Yeah,
Paul had a heart attack through the season.
I signed Paul when I was at Ayr. He was a brilliant player for me, great professional, and he's went on to obviously be John's sidekick, and they worked very well together. It's a great achievement for him.
At Motherwell are down to 10 men. Johnny Katrumbis has been sent off. It was the initial challenge on Larkesh was a yellow. Kevin Clancy then called to the monitor, goes and agrees with the notion that he might have made a clear or obvious error, and the red card comes out. So Johnny Katrumbis off, Motherwell down to 10.
Question is, has Kevin made a clear and obvious error by disallowing Dundee's would-be second goal?
We don't know exactly what the story was on that, but Motherwell down to 10, and could be an interesting end to this one, because still plenty of time for Dundee to go and get that winner.
Certainly is. And I wonder, Tony Dock's just fully focused on what's going on in the pitch in front of him, or if he's worried about elsewhere. Does that affect his tactics going into this last game?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's a third goal for Hearts. Lawrence Shankland with the pass to Alan Forrest, who provides the finish.
He went too early there, Hugh. Come on. He went too early. He never got the hat trick. Never got the hat trick. You passed it.
Still not quite. A real genius.
He set you right up there.
It's Lawrence Shankland with the pass and Alan Forrest with the finish. Come on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He does well down the left. Lawrence Shankland squares it across. Alan Forrest collects before prodding it into the corner, and it's Ross County 1, Hearts 3. That will be that.
Oh, for sure. And the Hearts fans, although many did not bother making the long journey, those who have taken the trouble, absolutely delighted now. And Anne Budge can relax, Andrew McKinley can relax, because for today at least they're off the hook.
Yeah, it looks like the right decision today for them when you remove the manager and you get a positive result in such a crucial game. But well done Liam Fox. He has to pick up the pieces and organise a team and make decisions like putting Shankland straight through the middle instead of a 10, and he's got his rewards.
3-3 in that East Kilbride game now, so chances are they are through to take on either Bonnyrigg Rose or Forfar for a place.
When is that decided, Gordon? Today,
yeah.
Right, and who's winning with that?
7-4 on aggregate now.
No, Bonnyrigg Rose and Forfar.
As things stand, it's Bonnyrigg.
Is it?
But because they're winning and Forfar are drawing, so they're level in points. Bonnyrigg would go down
goal difference.
On goal difference.
That's harsh. That's a hard one to take.
Finishing the season quite strongly as well with a couple of wins, but it's going to be a tense end there as well. A couple of changes for Aberdeen. Have they got anything in them towards the end of this game?
Well, they better have. They've got to pull out all the stops. Keep going on about momentum. You don't want to go down to Glasgow in the week that you've asked for and received 20,000 tickets for the cup final and then not really do the work.
I take on board what you're saying here, but I don't think I think cup final's different. One off, getting down there. I don't really think it'll make much difference. Momentum getting into it. I think Celtic will get firm favourites. They know they hammed them inside out. That's where they come alive at times. But I think on a one-off cup final, you would like to get them a few wins under your belt. I'm taking that on board. But a one-off cup final against Celtic, I don't think will make much difference.
We're in the closing stages everywhere, really. So most of the goals that go in will be crucial. In fact, I think pretty much every goal, it's too far back for Ross County and possibly too far back for St Johnstone. But if we could get one at this stage.
What a party Peterhead must have had. Clyde now 5-1 up. And I'm telling you, the last time Clyde scored 5 goals, Craig Brown must have been the manager.
At Shawfield as well.
Yeah.
Remember Shawfield?
Oh, hated Shawfield.
Oh, it was the only place you could play and still get a bet in the Dugs at the same time.
You still have got a Dogs there.
Oh,
Brilliant. When I was a wee boy.
Did you ever play in that pitch?
No, never. I didn't even know it was a football pitch.
Yeah, that's where Clyde used to play.
And then the Dogs would come on after.
The Dogs would go on during it.
After the miters.
Yeah.
Oh, great chance, Dundee United. Savel's free header 8 yards out, but he just doesn't get the contact. The ball goes wide, and that would have been the equaliser for Dundee United, but not to be.
Well, still time.
I'll tell you what, let's leave some space for late drama, Hugh, and do this.
Okay.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played with Aaron Ramsey, Sol Campbell and Tam McManus. I have played under 2 managers with the same surname, and I have played in Scotland, England and 2 countries on the continent. Who am I? I am Casper Schmeichel.
Casper Schmeichel and John Hughes and Mark Hughes, in case you were wondering. Lots of you got that right, and very quickly as well. Bazinga Bear in 3rd place, well done. Mikey Burns 2nd, and Alonso 55 was the winner of that second half teaser. Gordon Dale, well done for getting a bit slow by your standards today.
Well, I thought they're getting harder every week, Gordon, and I've got to take my time, piece it together. Was Tam McManus at Falkirk? Yes.
Tam McManus at Falkirk.
Yeah.
Sol Campbell at Notts County. Aaron Ramsey at Nice. Played for Falkirk and Celtic in Scotland, various clubs in the English leagues, as well as stints at Nice and Anderlecht in Belgium.
10-man Motherwell coming very close to taking the lead there. There was a turning shot trying to squeeze in at the near post from Ewan Wilson, but I think it was Trevor Carson getting down low to make the save.
Anyway, it's done and dusted with regard to the Hearts in Dingwall. Not done and dusted at Dundee, 1-1. Not done and dusted in Paisley, St Mirren 1 up. And
Hibs and Dundee United still in the balance.
Not done and dusted, no.
Yeah, still in the
balance. Not heard
balance.
much for Aberdeen, though, have we? In terms of attacking sense,
No.
any chances or anything like that. It sounds like a quiet afternoon. I think you're right. You said earlier on that not good hunting ground for Aberdeen, is it?
No.
Always find it difficult there, as do most teams, you've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, Rangers lost there. Celtic had a very good win there, but St Mirren really tested them.
Motherwell hit the bar as well. Corner comes in. Tony Watt had a go. Dan Casey had a go. I think it was Casey's in the end that comes back off the crossbar. Tony Watt firing over on the rebound.
You seem to be doing well with 10 men, Motherwell. Maybe that's the plan going forward.
Just play with 10.
Start with 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at the late drama potentials. I suppose Dens would be one of them. If either side could go and get all 3 points instead of one, it would put a completely different complexion on their fight to avoid the playoff spot. I don't think there's any way back for Ross County or Kilmarnock at this stage. So really, is there a Dundee United equaliser out there? Is there an Aberdeen equaliser?
Well,
that would be the 2 big questions.
Yeah, and you can answer both in the same way. There is a possibility. It's not out of the question. There is a possibility.
A United equaliser, I think, is the most likely.
Do you think so?
Well, just going with the stats through the season, how often they.
No, I think
turn up.
I think Dundee will score a winner
against 10 men.
10 men, yeah.
Well, you got Ross County wrong.
Aye, okay, Hugh. One swallow doesn't make a summer.
Correct. How many do?
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Andy Halliday's doing some good defending to try and prevent your prediction.
We'll be tired on Monday.
Do you know what I was looking out for? Because I was having a look to see if there was the ultimate consistency of availability stat that I could bestow on him. I don't think there'll be many players in the league that have played in every league game. And I was having a look through them all.
Are there any?
The only other one I could see initially was Blair Spittle has. But
he's played in with Hearts every league game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that either.
Yeah.
Blair Spittle with Hearts.
Surely is he?
Yeah.
Oh, no, would have got that.
I was going to say it's been a quieter season, certainly in terms of goals and assists for Spittle.
Has, yeah.
But I just thought that might have coincided with him not playing as much.
I think what it clearly would mean is I think there will be a lot less starts in there. I don't think he'll have started as many games.
By the way, going back to the start of the season, certainly I thought Hearts would have been a force to be reckoned with creatively, because you've got Spittle and Danda, remember.
Danda's not really
worked out, has it at all?
It's not worked out for him. I think Hearts has been too big a club. I think he's got good ability, but it's not worked out for him.
He was your man as well, Mark Wilson.
He was. I really like him. I wonder where he will land, because any
Came
new
on
manager,
today, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just talking to missing men. Where's Roger Hannah today? Is he washing his hair or something?
I've absolutely no idea. On holiday, I think, perhaps.
No.
Will he be in attendance at the PFA?
You're asking questions to which I have no answer.
I think he is.
Maybe shine his head for tomorrow night.
Come on. You're better than that.
You a few glasses of champagne tomorrow with Fraser and Roger there as a recipe for disaster.
Oh, Fraser's the only guy that'll get booed with his speech.
Oh, we've got a big goal at Easter Road. Which way is it gone?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's been scored by Hibs and it's Dwight Gale. They've wrapped it up. That could be a massive goal. That will be the goal that seals the victory today over Dundee United and really strengthens that grip on third place for David Gray's side.
Yeah, so as things stand, Hibs on 56 points, Aberdeen on 53 points, along with Dundee United. No, Dundee United have lost, so they're on 50. So very good day for Sir David Gray.
Yes, a great day for Hibs. They're not going to chuck it from there. Dwight Gale, I think it's still,
it's been a good signing,
unconfirmed, isn't it, as to whether he's
going
to retire at the end of the season. I think he probably will, but I don't think it's been absolutely nailed on. We've got a goal at Dens Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it's the 10 men of Motherwell. Tawanda Maswanisi is leaping highest in the box. It's a bullet header. I don't think it's quite what people associate with Tawanda Maswanisi, more of a tricky winger, but it's a brilliant header into the back of the net. And Motherwell, with the 10 men, take the lead. He's got the shirt off. He'll get booked for that. It'll be awkward if the VAR cameras pick something up.
What a time to score. What a time to score. And 10 men. I thought the goal would have came from Dundee with the advantage of the 11v10, but all credit to Motherwell. They've obviously went for it, because you've reported they've hit the bar, they've looked the better team, and now they've got the reward. Brilliant.
Yeah, so Dominic Thompson's moved over to the right hand side after the sending off, and Steve Seddon had come on. So sometimes it works, because the left back operating on the other side cuts onto his left foot, swings it in, and the Dundee defence seem to get caught under the ball, almost as if I think there is a bit of a wind, and the defence get it all wrong, and Maswanisi nicks in. Really strong header. Trevor Carson can't keep it out, and it's Motherwell who lead at Dens. Dundee 1, Motherwell 2 with a few minutes to go.
And I think this crystallises the situation. Motherwell on 45 points, Hearts on 43, Kilmarnock on 41, and then you go down into the drop zone. It's Dundee on 37 points, Ross County on 35, and bye-bye Sainties on 29 points. Yep. So it's about Ross County and Dundee there.
Yeah, shootout between those two.
Who would you fancy?
Dundee.
Any.
No, I would take Ross County. I think Dundee have got a goal threat in Simon Murray.
You love Simon Murray.
I do.
You love him.
Dundee came very close to an equaliser there from Lyle Cameron, which would have changed things. A right-footed shot just slid it across, and it was always kind of moving away from Aston Oxborough's post, and by it goes. James Wilson's come on for Alan Forrest for Hearts.
On the basis that Dundee have Simon Murray,
yeah,
and on the basis that it's now 6 defeats in a row for Ross County, with 3 goals scored in 9 hours of football, you've got to think that Simon Murray will keep Dundee in the division, and Ross County will be playoff against Partick Thistle.
Do you think there should be a rule that if you've got in the playoffs for a third consecutive season, you don't get the chance to stay up?
Yeah,
you
just really
if you're Ross County, because this would be the third on the bounce, wouldn't it? If they were to land there,
well, just automatically,
just
on you go.
3 strikes,
you're out.
You're gone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Actually, really disturbing news when we were discussing Roger Hannah. He sent us a picture of him sunbathing on holiday.
I know.
Something you don't associate with Roger, that is sunbathing.
You can't see the sun for his belly. Did you notice that in the photo? And he's holding a nice cocktail. What kind of cocktail was that, Mark? You're a
looked
cocktail.
like an espresso martini he was holding.
Yeah, this time. Oh, I tell you what, they must pay him them big money.
He's a big hitter though, is he not? The sun.
We've got it's Blackpool Beach, isn't it?
He's organised a special lunch on Tuesday, so the Hannah man better be back for that.
Sure he will be. Tony Watt's taking off. Humphrey's going to come on for Armstrong, coming on for Motherwell to try and see this one out. Full time, we've got one already. It's Dingwall, Dave Galloway.
Yeah, full time, Ross County 1, Hearts 3. Hearts began brightly. Spittle whipped in across from the left. Grant couldn't connect properly and the ball went wide. Ross County threatened with Harmon's shot in the box, charged down, and Kenna hitting a low drive well wide from around 25 yards. The visitors looking the light clear team though, and Forest's side-footed effort was straight at Amisa, and the same player could only hook over following a long ball upfield. But County went ahead against the run and play in 25 minutes with a great low finish by Hale into the bottom corner after Kenna's run and through ball. The Jam Tarts continued to create and miss chances. Shanklin rolled the ball to Forrest, who charged into the box only to send a wayward drive over the bar, but they deservedly equalised after 40 minutes. Beningame set up Shanklin, who had a goal, a good first touch, then an excellent finish across Amisa and in at the bottom corner from about 12 yards. White and Wright both had efforts cleared off the line as the Staggies almost regained the lead in a bit of a stramash before half time, and soon after the restart Gordon made a really good save to keep out Hale's powerful drive from close range. However, it was 2-1 Hearts on 58 minutes. Shanklin stretching to convert Forrester's driven cross at the near post. The visitors almost made it 3-1 when Shanklin sent Forrest scampering through, and his shot was cleared off the line. Then Spittle hit the bar with a long-range curling effort. The Staggies were hanging in there, but Hearts got the third goal. Their dominance deserved on 82 minutes. Shanklin with really good play on the left, and he laid the ball on a plate for Forrest, who made no mistake. The home side with a late rally. They had a shot deep into added time that came crashing back off the crossbar, but to no avail. They couldn't get another goal back, so relegation worries intensify for County, but a vital victory for the Jambos. It's finished here in the Highlands. Ross County 1, Hearts 3.
And it's finished in Perth. Here's David Friel.
Full time, Gordon St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 2. Contrasting moods here. The Kelly players are just down in front of their fans celebrating a first Premiership away win in 6 months, but St Johnstone, just misery for them. Place emptied long before the end. They edge ever closer to relegation. David Watson's first half striker, Danny Armstrong penalty, gave Derek McInnes's men a rare away win to surely remove any lingering playoff fears, but for Saints they now face a do-or-die clash against Ross County next weekend, which could confirm the relegation. The stadium DJ's got a sense of humour. He's playing living on a prayer right now, but I don't think they've got a prayer. St Johnstone started well here. It was Kelly who took the lead though in 12 minutes. Bobby Wales, Corey and Daba combined to find David Watson on the edge of the box. He still had work to do, but curled a superb finish into the bottom corner. St Johnstone came back into the game before half-time. Mackenzie Kirk had a chance, that Jake Piazza had a chance to level, but Kelly made them pay with the second goal in 53 minutes. Referee Ian Snedden initially missed Victor Griffiths' foul on Rory Mackenzie, but VAR Andrew Dallas stepped in to tell him to take a second look. Armstrong, the penalty was given. Armstrong took responsibility and just about managed to squeeze his penalty under Andy Fisher. Saints tried to find their way back into the game. Graham Carey killed a free kick over, but there weren't many chances. Kelly far too streetwise as they saw out the game for a big 3 points on the road. Full time, St Johnstone 0, Kilmarnock 2.
Full time in Paisley. Here's Gabriel.
Full time, and it's a 1-0 win for St Mirren over Aberdeen. Stephen Robinson's European dream is still alive thanks to Mikel Mandron's strike just after the hour mark. The big number 9, who has just extended his contract with the club, took his goal so well. Captain Mark O'Hara stood over a free kick in from the right. He signalled to the Frenchman the ball was going to be floated deep, and that's exactly what happened. The ball found Mandron's chest, who managed to hold off defenders and volleyed the ball home. St Mirren were the more threatening team throughout, even though they didn't have too much of the ball. They had a few decent chances in the first half as Jonah Ayunga shot wide and O'Hara had a good effort saved by Dimitar Mitov. Aberdeen actually started the game initially brighter. They thought they took the lead through Jeppe Ockels in the first 45, but Kevin Nisbet was adjudged to have handballed it in the build-up, which was confirmed by the referee after consulting the monitor. And there was a late rally by the visitors, but they couldn't break open the host defence. Richard Taylor and Alex Govic in the back line, outstanding throughout. And in the end, St Mirren actually looked more likely to get the game's second goal on the counter. Roland Odowu and James Scott both denied great chances in stoppage time. The result sees Aberdeen drop 3 points behind Hibs in the race for third place, while St Mirren are now just 5 points behind Dundee United with 3 games to go. They face a trip to Tannadice next weekend. It is still all to play for when it comes to Europe, Gordon. Full time in Paisley. St Mirren 1, Aberdeen 0.
Brilliant stuff from St Mirren. It's not done yet at Dens, although Motherwell were through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper and missed up the opportunity there. It is the full-time whistle has gone there, so Motherwell win that one by 2-1. It's finished at Easter Road. Fraser.
It has, in the battle for third place. Hibs taking a huge step to securing that spot. Really enjoyable 90 minutes to watch. It was a Birmingham 3, Dundee United 1. There's always something happening here. Hibs deserved the head at the break through Boyle and Kukarevich. United came back into the game the second half and pushed really hard. Trapanovsky with the goal that gave them hope, but Dwight Gale gave Hibs fans comfort near the end of the headed goal. Hibs at the break 2 up, could have been more. The opener came as early as the 3rd minute. Junior Hoyt, lovely pass. Chris Cadden in behind, first time low cross in the 6-yard box, tried to be cleared by Declan Gallagher, but hit Boyle, and unfortunately for the Hibs striker, trickled into the back of the net off the post. 2-0, 14 minutes. Kukarevich ran onto a ball over the top. He's paced past Gallagher, didn't really beat him, just ran into the penalty box, and his low finish across Walton was in off the post and into the back of the net. Walton also made a couple of excellent saves, so the next goal is going to be vital for United. A couple of half-time subs, Middleton and Trapanovsky, an attacking change, and within a couple of minutes it made a difference, both involved in getting a corner. From the corner, Dalby header, really good save by Jordan Smith. The ball's good for a throw-in. Will Ferry hurled the ball into the box, wasn't cleared. Trapanovsky, back post, 6 yards out, fired the ball high into the net. A different United now, pacing tempo about their game. Hibs couldn't get into it. First half fluency had gone. Docherty just wide from 20 yards head in his hands. He knows he should have done better, but slowly Hibs began to take control of the game. Boyle corner just headed just over by Jack Iredale. Within 81 minutes, the chance for United to get back on level terms was there. Strain with a whipped in cross into the 6-yard box. The Belge, just with space, poor contact with his head, and the ball went yards wide. He knows he should have scored. And then up to the other end, Josh Campbell set up by Bowie. Shot was goal-bound, went past Walton in the goals, but somehow Strain dived to head the ball off the line. But Hibs sealed the victory. 87 minutes, 2 subs involved. Nicky Cadden on the left, we've seen it so often this season. Lovely cross into the box, 8 yards out. Dwight Gale, simple header into the back of the net. David Gray got the reaction he wanted after last week's defeat. Almost safe in third place. 6-point cushion between them, United and Aberdeen. You can't see anything other than Hibs finishing up in that spot. Full time at Easter Road, Hibernian 3, Dundee United 1.
Is that third place? It's not done clearly as for the arithmetic, Hugh, but can you see anyone getting the better of Hibs there now?
Well, again, to go back to the word momentum, but I know they lost last weekend, but it's been a great week for Hibs. David Gray nominated potentially manager of the year. That's a good sound home performance, good solid result, 3-1 at home. They'll be feeling very good about themselves. But I think that at Celtic next weekend, that'd be a big test of them. But who knows?
I think it's done and dusted. I think that was a big one this afternoon. He has to get the job done at home, and once again David Gray has his 15th win of the season, 35 games. That is some return from where they were one stage of the season early on. So fantastic work from Hibs. Still a wee bit of work to be done, but I think they've secured third place with that one.
Agree. They put themselves in a fantastic position. Good result today for them. Aberdeen, not a happy hunting ground, St Mirren. And well done to St Mirren as well. They are a good side, good season, top 6. But all the excitement for me is down the bottom of the league. St Johnstone are gone. It's who will get that playoff, and it looks between Dundee and Ross County at this moment in time.
Motherwell are officially safe after that win today. I'll try and give you the full-time picture from Dale very soon, but they now know, Gordon, that's confirmed. Premiership football yet again next season.
Do you know what will please everyone? You go down to you're lost the first goal, you're away from home, you need that sort of a point. We were touching on it. I always thought they were going to be safe. They get down to 10 men, they're 1-1, and they're brave enough to go and win the game. A fantastic result, great performance from the 10 men. And you're right, Gordon, that's them. They can now start planning for next season and look forward to another year in the Premier League.
In its own way, a special achievement from Michael Wimmer. He has to come to a new country. Yes, he can speak the language, which is always a big help, but he's in a brand new environment, and he has done the job for Motherwell. I always remember when Alan Burrows was Motherwell's chief executive, and he stood in this studio with you and I, Gordon, and he said, first target every year, to stay in the division. Well, Michael Wimmer, new environment, new league, he's done it for Motherwell.
Incredible from St Mirren, Mark, because I've probably said it on the show, and it wasn't meant to be disrespectful, because I feel like Stephen Robinson and others had probably said it as well. It looked like they were just happy with the top six and, you know, would able to finish the season on a relative high, but they could very well end up in Europe.
Certainly can, and you know what, you wouldn't begrudge them it because of their home form alone this season has been quite exceptional. And you know, the highs that get into the top six, the celebrations you see in Spark, you'd forgive them for taking their foot off the gas and playing pretty relaxed. But against Rangers last week, they were right at it. Then they have to host Aberdeen, who are going for that third spot, and to get the job done 1-0 again. Terrifically organised team, got players playing for them, but I just wonder how much longer Stephen Robinson will be at St Mirren.
They've certainly got the beating of Aberdeen. I think when they went to Pittodrie, I think they were comfortable against them, weren't they? 3-0. I think they've already beat them in their home patch. I think it was 2-1. I think Neil Warnock at that time was the manager. And now today, another victory, another 3 points. So it's not a team Aberdeen like to play against. And well done to Stephen Robinson and everyone concerned there in Paisley.
Okay, over to you then. 01419511025. What are you thinking today on that subject, St Mirren fans? How good does this all feel? Can you see this late run coming towards a European place? How did you view that game today? You'll be back in the car by now. Motherwell fans, you are officially safe. You're one of the teams that officially achieved something today. How does that feel? Hibs fans up in third. Lots going on today. And what about tomorrow? Rangers against Celtic. It always means something, but what does it mean? What does this one mean to you both? How does it look from a Celtic perspective, a Rangers perspective? It's your last chance to pick or predict your team lineups. It's the Player of the Year awards tomorrow as well, so there's a lot to get through. Give us a call right now, please, and we'll try and get you on next.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line 0141 951 1025.
Yes, it's time for you to have your say on today's football, or tomorrow's, of course. Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Duncan waiting on you. So give us a call, please. 0141 951 1025. If you're coming out of a game today, we'd love to hear all about it, what it was like. St Mirren fans, this late push for Europe could well be on. How good was that win against Aberdeen today? Can you do it? Can you pull off what would have seemed unlikely a couple of weeks ago? Motherwell fans, you're the only team that's officially achieved something today, and that is safety. You cannot go down, and it's another season in the top flight. So what did you make of the win against Dundee, particularly down to 10 men late on? 0141 951 1025. Any Falkirk fans out there? We'd like to bask in your glory of a championship win and promotion to the Premiership from last night. So again, give us a call. Partick Thistle fans, if you've got any secrets you want to try and get out of Mark Wilson ahead of the playoffs, you are more than welcome. The weekend, of course, is not done yet. Tomorrow, high noon, Ibrox, Rangers against Celtic for the final time this season. It won't change the destination of the title. It won't change much, but there's still always a lot going on. So give us all your thoughts from both camps ahead of the meeting at Ibrox right now. 0141 951 1025. Whilst you get the calls in, here is the last remaining stop off. We've not heard from Dale Eaton yet, who watched Dundee against Motherwell.
Gordon, it's full time here at Dens Park, and after some late drama, it finishes Dundee 1, Motherwell 2. Trevor Carson was the first goalkeeper called into action on the day after nice play between Sparrow and Slattery down the right hand side, with Slattery firing in a low shot saved by the keeper. On his first start since January following an injury layoff, Oxborough was called into action and made a great double save on 12 minutes, first from Adewumi, then from left back Larkesh. He was eventually beaten at the half-hour mark after a wonderful strike from Antonio Bartales, which sailed into the top left corner. The ball broke to the Mexican defender playing in midfield for the second game in a row as he fired it home from the edge of the box. He did have the ball in the back of the net again just before half-time, but VAR stepped in to rule that out. After the break, it was Motherwell who started the brighter side, putting the home side under pressure. A Lennon Miller free kick from the right-hand side was punched away by Carson on 50 minutes. The Motherwell equaliser came shortly after on the 60-minute mark when Tom Sparrow tucked away his 6th of the season. Slattery played a lofted ball into the Dundee box. Miller tried to control it. It bounced between him and a defender and broke into the path of Sparrow, who tapped it home from close range. Dundee tried to hit back after a nice move between Larkesh and Adewumi down the left, who put it into the path of Josh Mulligan, whose shot sailed over the bar. A number of back and forth chances followed between the teams until Ziad Larkesh went down from the challenge of Gatrumbis. Kevin Clancy was called to the screen by VAR and sent the defender off for serious foul play, reducing the away side to 10 men in the 80th minute. Just 5 minutes later, though, the Steelmen almost took the lead from a corner after it broke to Dan Casey, whose header came off the crossbar, agonisingly close to that second ball. Dundee tried to use the man advantage in their favour, throwing men forward, but then in added time Motherwell broke forward. Dom Thompson, with acres of space to run into, fired a ball to the back post where half-time substitute Maswanisi snuck in a header to put the Steelmen ahead. A late Dundee corner saw goalkeeper Trevor Carson sent up to try and rescue a point, but the Dark Blues couldn't convert. Motherwell almost added a third. Moments before full time, Carson saved again from Maswanisi with a rebound sent wide, but assistant flagged for offside. Full time at Dens Park, it's the away fans who leave happy. It finishes Dundee 1, Motherwell 2.
How big an achievement is that, Gordon? I know it's not like you don't set out at the start of the season as a fan and really plan on celebrating staying up, but Motherwell have done it with a bit of comfort, you know, with the budget and so on. It still becomes the first priority in every season. You look around, they're still really the only team of that size that's not been out the top flight in decades. So, you know, that there's a level of consistency there that is to be admired, even if some people would obviously want to aim higher. It's
a terrific result this afternoon, especially going down to 10 men. Shows a lot of character. It gives the new manager an opportunity now to try one or two things before the end of the season, have a look at one or two players. He's got a big squad, a lot of work to be done in the summer, but he now can start planning. That's the most important thing. See, for teams like Motherwell, when they start off the beginning of the season, stay in the league. Stay in the league. That's all you have to do. Anything top six is a brilliant bonus for them. Didn't happen this season. They were under a little bit of pressure, but they've eventually got 6 points out of the last two games, puts them over a line, and as I said there, the new manager can start planning for next year.
Michael Wimmer inherited chaos at Motherwell because Stuart Kettlewell had been removed, or had voluntarily gone, I should say, and there was a fair bit of hostility in the air. But Michael Wimmer came in from another country and he has done the job, and for that he deserves maximum credit.
And for 40 years, Hugh, that Motherwell have been in the top flight, and in that time every single other club apart from Celtic and Aberdeen have been out. All of our big city clubs, city clubs not far from here for reasons that were well publicised, Hearts and Hibs on a couple of occasions, the Dundee clubs. Like I said, I know it's not the fans' idea of celebration, you know, is staying in, but I think for to do that over 40 years is quite something.
Yeah, I think
when everyone around you can't manage it,
I think that is the cause for celebration.
But you know what I mean? It's not giving you that, you're not partying at that, but it's just something that probably shouldn't be forgotten.
You are punching above your weight on a decade by decade basis, not year by year, decade by decade. That's an achievement.
Yeah, I have to agree. And you know what makes it more impressive is the change of manager. Hugh's spot on to say that Michael Wimmer came in at a difficult time, and it could have went one or two ways, but he brought in new methods as well, which is never easy for a group of players to buy into. But he's done the job. He's kept them in the league. I think a pre-season is going to be crucial. I think the players will have more time to buy into his ideas, and then the transfer window, whatever that brings. But you're right in mentioning Motherwell, a club who are just a stable unit within our Premiership, and another year there. So congratulations to them. They can get the feet up for the next couple of weeks and just enjoy the football. Pressure off.
Yeah, I said it earlier, Gordon. The most important thing is staying in the league. They've achieved that, and they'll be planning for next season. And they can sit there and try one or two things now to the end of the season, give one or two players an opportunity, because he'll need to trim the squad. It's well known Motherwell have got a massive squad. I think they've got over 30 odd players, so it was important they kept their Premier League status. They've achieved that, and now they can sit back and relax and put pressure on the other ones, Ross County and Dundee. Let's see who's in that playoff come the end of the season.
Stevie's on the line first. How are you, Stevie? How's it going, Stevie? Alright, can you hear us? Oh no, we'll need to give Stevie's line a different try. That sounded ropey. But don't forget, you've got various options. I'd love to hear from you Falkirk fans on last night. If you've sobered up, that is. Give us a call, let us know how it was and how it feels to be back in the top flight. Looking at today's football, we mentioned Motherwell there. Any Motherwell fans want to pay tribute to another season in the top flight? I'm also looking at you St Mirren fans. It looked like you would just be able to relax into the post-split fixtures a bit, and whatever happened. But 2 wins in a row against 2 good results in a row, and all of a sudden looking up the way. So give us all your thoughts, please. 01419511025. And what about tomorrow then? What does it mean? What does it mean to Celtic? What does it mean to Rangers? Barry Ferguson, Brendan Rodgers? Which team would you pick? There'll obviously be no Jota, no Alistair Johnson. Anything else to consider in terms of the team lines? And I suppose your last shout as well for any player or manager of the year debates, because that'll all be settled tomorrow, Hugh.
Yeah. John McGlynn, back-to-back promotion. You cannot underestimate the value of that achievement. Brendan Rodgers, another title win, the one that equals Rangers' record of 55 titles. Very important to the Celtic fans. I think the manager of the year has to come from one of those two, with the greatest respect to David Gray. David Gray's story is one of transformation from bad to better. But I don't think that entitles him to the Manager of the Year award. For me, it's between Brendan Rodgers and John McGlynn.
I'd have to agree with it. I think David Gray's award is purely been in amongst those two, and I mean that with the greatest respect, because of where the season started, and it did not look good for him at one stage. To turn that round, it's been a remarkable run, and the mental strength that's had to go into that from himself, and the delivery from his staff round about, and that leadership qualities, he deserves to be in the mix. But I think for me, you certainly need silverware, and you need to compare to the two either side of you. 2 remarkable achievements. Brendan Rodgers, people would argue, is slightly easier because the bigger budget and so on and so forth, everything that comes with Celtic. But you still need to manage a huge football club and huge personalities and get the big games right more often than not. He has. But for McGlynn, just sensational to do back to back. And the way he's done it, tremendous achievement.
Stevie's here on the phone. Stevie, what are you thinking about tomorrow then?
Well, as I said, I was going to talk about the 3 games I've watched today. Falkirk last night was brilliant. Great game. Went to the wire. I watched Coventry and Middlesbrough this morning. Went to the wire. And then I've just watched St Mirren and Aberdeen. Went to the wire. But, well, tomorrow I think it'll be a draw. I think the 2 teams will settle for a draw, you know. And,
it's a bit boring, isn't it, though, Stevie? You think it just suits them both?
Well, as I said, I'm not saying it suits them both. I think Rangers want to win it, but Celtic supporters, as I say, that's all I'm saying to your producer there. I think it's a disgrace now that both sets of fans are stuck in a wee corner at each ground, you know. I've went to Old Firm games in the past, and they've been brilliant atmospheres. I mean, there was a programme on STV years ago, Into the Fire. It ended up with Souness coming to Ibrox, you know. But I mean, they interviewed both sets of supporters before each game. I don't know if you remember it, if you're too young to remember it, but it was a classic. It was a classic.
Oh, you'll remember it, don't you worry. I suppose you to be. I get this is where the generational thing kicks in, because Stevie likes kind of older, bigger allocations, which is fine. I suppose tomorrow, though, where we've been, this is a small victory. It's a step back in the right direction.
Exactly. And small steps are necessary before you can make a giant leap. I do remember the 4-4 game because my pal Mudder McLeod scored the fourth goal to make it 4-4 for Celtic. It was classic. Tomorrow will, Stevie used the word settle for, or two words, settle for. No. In the history of the Old Firm fixture, no one settles for anything. This game tomorrow, regardless of whether Celtic have won the title or not, regardless of whether Rangers have won the last two games against Celtic or not, this game will have the same importance for both managers, both sets of players, and both sets of fans. And I repeat, if Rangers were to win and come away from Ibrox still 14 points behind Celtic, it reflects very poorly on the players who have let down two managers, one a permanent one an interim manager this season, because that is ludicrous. To have beaten Celtic 3 times, if that is what happens, and still be 14 points behind Celtic, is a ludicrous state of affairs.
I can't buy into any supporter talking about, well, it doesn't really mean a lot tomorrow. Mark will tell you, the minute you walk out that tunnel and you're representing one of those clubs, it means everything to you. And it will tomorrow to all those players. And Hugh's said that as well. And especially when you look over at the dugout, you've got two managers there, Barry Ferguson, I've said it from day one, he kept the Rangers together with the supporters and everything. It's not worked out for him. He won't get the job permanently. I think Barry knows that. But he wants to finish in the high. He's a Rangers man. He wants to beat Celtic at Ibrox, of course he does, and get a double over in Brendan Rodgers. And then you look over the other side, Brendan Rodgers, with the pride, the manager he is, winning the championship, going for a treble. He will not want to walk out of Ibrox tomorrow with our defeat. I think we are in for a cracking game of football. I really do.
We will be, and when we switch on and everybody else switches on, or those that are going to the stadium, once they step in the stadium, they see the atmosphere, the colour, you quite quickly get to grips with this isn't just a meaningless fixture, because it means so much to both sets of supporters, and I think it means so much to both managers in the dugout because of Brendan Rodgers' personality. He's dominated up here, he's dominated Rangers for long spells. He certainly doesn't want to lose another one. And for Barry Ferguson, he has got that burning desire for, he says, his club to get on level terms with Celtic and catch up with them. And of course he wants to beat them at Ibrox. He's done it once at Celtic Park, he wants to do it at Ibrox, and his results have been poor at Ibrox. So it's coming to the end of the season. It doesn't look like he's going to get the job, but what a way to bow out. To go out saying that you beat Celtic twice and the last one at Ibrox, that would be a good ending for him.
What do you think tomorrow, Rangers fans? Do you think you'll make it 3 in a row? Celtic fans, how much does it matter to you to end that run? You're obviously, as everyone knows, champions, title winners, potential treble winners. What does tomorrow mean though? Give us a call right now. Look back on today's action, last night's action. Falkirk fans, it's up to you. Give us a shout and we'll speak to you next.
0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Duncan are here. Keep the calls coming on today's action, last night's action, tomorrow's game at Ibrox. Let's hear from Liam Fox. What a week it's been for Hearts. Sacked Neil Critchley, had the embarrassment of interviews that were attempted to be conducted outside the Player of the Year awards, but they've won today in Dingwall. Pretty much safe. Here's Liam Fox, who's in interim charge.
Disappointed with how the season's panned out. There's no getting away from that. We're happy with the 3 points. We're not going away celebrating and jumping about. We've still got work to do. Hopefully that's a wee step in the right direction, and just let everybody breathe a wee bit, and the players deserve huge credit for that. And again, that's probably where I can give them the most amount of credit, because you could feel the wee bit of tension and a wee bit of nerves, but they stuck to what we were asking them to do. They kept passing the ball, they kept being brave, they kept putting themselves in pressure situations, so they deserve massive credit for that. And getting the goal back before half time just gives them a wee shot in the arm, and I thought there was moments of really good stuff in the second half. So again, we're really, really pleased, we're happy, but we know that there's still work to do, and we've still got to get back to work on Monday and look forward to another one. A bit of relief from the full week. It's been a difficult week. it's always difficult when people you work with lose their jobs. And I knew how important the game was today off the back of that, and off the I know what the supporters expect and what they demand from the football club. So that was probably a wee bit moment of relief. But I've been trying to enjoy this week as well, because it's a privilege to manage the football club, even on an interim basis.
Yeah, he's done well, Liam Fox. I think this is the pivotal day for Hearts. You know, they're 6 points away from Dundee. Dundee are in it now with Ross County. St Johnstone are gone. So there's no worry, I don't think, anymore about Hearts and relegation playoffs and what have you. And that's to Liam Fox credit, because difficult week in which to come in, and a place that was once difficult to go to, but not anymore, I don't think.
Well, let's bring in Jeff on the line. Jeff, what are your thoughts ahead of tomorrow?
I've got a number of points, but we'll start with the Old Firm game. I think Rangers could probably do it tomorrow. As some Celtic players are out, either injured or being rested for the cup final. I'm going to do a prediction, right? I'm going to say 3-1 to Rangers for tomorrow, just because the way we played at Parkhead. That's my first point.
Let's take a look at that then, because Gordon, obviously we would all understand where Jeff comes from. Earlier on in the season, Rangers drew. In fact, they lost against St Mirren, then they drew with Motherwell, and in the next game they beat Celtic 3-0. The last time there was an Old Firm game, they lost against Motherwell. They had a Fenerbahce doubleheader, and then they go and beat Celtic 3-2 at Celtic Park. So perfectly capable of doing that. Having said all of that, they are also now 5 games without a win. Appreciate that takes in the Athletic Bilbao games, but they're 5 games without a win, which is quite a run.
That's what frustrates the Rangers fans so much. You talk about results there, results that they should be picking up, teams that they should be beating, and then they turn up when the big games and they seem to find a new lease of life for some reason. You've seen them, they're great. They were good at Celtic Park, especially early on, and it was a game that was finally in the balance, and all of a sudden Igaman comes up with a brilliant goal to go and win it for them. Look, they could turn up tomorrow. You could write them off right now, because Celtic are far the better team, but you never know what Rangers are going to produce. And I think that obviously looking at the setup tomorrow, I know that Celtic have got 1 or 2 key players missing, i.e. Jota, Alistair Johnston at right back. But to be fair, Alistair Johnston had his worst game at Celtic Park against Rangers. He was absolutely awful. Gives Ralston a chance to come in there as well. He's played a lot of games, played in these games. Look, I just think it'll be two teams that'll go right on the front foot, and I think it'll be a cracking game of football. I think we'll get goals, because the one thing Rangers will do is they'll give you goals. It's if Celtic can keep it out to the other end. I just don't know, it's hard to call. I'm going to sit in the fence with this one tomorrow.
Jeff's hoping that Celtic have one eye on the final mark, and it's easy to say that they won't. As an example, Alistair Johnston is being treated with a view to making that cup final. Look, it's just one player, but you take the point.
Yeah, that one's an exception, but the players that are fit and able to play, I mean, there'll be no consideration of the final when they step off the bus, when they're getting prepared for the game, when they're in the warm-up, or when the first whistle goes. So all focus will be on Rangers. I think the interesting thing tomorrow for me is I think the way the game pans out will be similar to what we've seen at Ibrox at the turn of the year. It'll be similar to what we've seen in the cup final, and similar to what we've seen at Celtic Park. Celtic won't change their style, I'm pretty certain of that. But I wonder how Rangers shape up, because they've had success. You know, the personnel that they pick will be interesting, of course, but the shape that Barry Ferguson adopts will be the interesting thing. How they stop Celtic playing, because that's where they got a lot of their good stuff from. You know, picking the right times to press, almost allowing Celtic to play into certain areas and then pouncing and getting bodies forward. So that will be...
Formation will be key as well, Mark. Do you think that Rangers will go with the three or the 4? I know they've got a few injuries at the back, am I correct in saying that? You just wonder how Barry will look at this tomorrow against this Celtic team, because Adam Ida will probably start through the middle. You know what I mean? You'll have Kuhn and Maeda on the flanks.
You've also got a goalkeeper, Sinisalo, who's never played in an Old Firm game, and you wonder how he reacts to the occasion. 50,000 inside Ibrox for some reason, and it is inexplicable, but for some reason Rangers spook Celtic. The game at Celtic Park was proof of that. The one before was also proof of that. And you read out the sequence of results, Gordon, that have come before those two defeats of Celtic. Inexplicable that they come out of bad results and beat Celtic and score 3 goals each time. Rangers spook Celtic.
Having said that, this isn't an up and down spell, is it? This 5 without a win is not great.
No, but I go back to it. Goalkeeper who's never played an Old Firm game before.
Liam Kelly came in and played in the 3-0, didn't he, for Rangers earlier this season?
But therefore we have something to go on with Liam Kelly, past experience. Sinisalo has never played an Old Firm game before.
But that day we didn't have anything to go on.
Yeah, but we now know. So the loss of Johnson, I do understand what Gordon Dale said. He had a very, very poor game last time out, but he's a class act, Alistair Johnson. And Maeda will have to go wide to accommodate the Jota injury, and for me he loses some of his effectiveness, and Ida is nowhere near a replacement for Maeda.
Well, you look at our Celtic teams coming to Ibrox and banging form, in they've scored 15 goals in 3 games here. Adam Ida comes off the bench against Dundee United and scores 2. So he's capable. There's no doubt that he's capable. I think it's a Celtic team that's really in the front foot, but you never know what Rangers are going to produce.
What else are you thinking, Jeff?
Right, this is probably directed at Mark. I watched the Falkirk game last night, and I was listening. I was on my phone looking at the results last night. I thought Falkirk nearly threw it away. But your team did Falkirk a favour. Do you think come Tuesday night against Leeds United that you can beat them in both legs?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I'm not going to say no. I think if you look at the games, Jeff, that Partick and Ayr have faced off against each other this season, it's pretty even in terms of the results at Firhill and obviously at Somerset. So one thing's for sure, it's going to be closely contested. I'm pretty sure of that over the 2 legs, and we hope so. The challenging thing, I think, for finishing 4th in the playoffs, and same for Ayr to a certain extent, is such a quick turnaround that getting players back to their peak for these 2 games is a big ask at this time of the season. So it's going to be a difficult run for whoever goes all the way.
And that's obviously for the first game.
That's for the first game.
Then you need to play twice.
You need to do it
twice,
again.
And then the Premiership team twice.
So it's a big ask, and you're asking players when other players are away on their holidays and Falkirk are sitting in Ibiza, like some of the players said. These players who've had a long, hard season have to recover and go at it again. So it's a brutal time for them. But I know where I'd rather be sitting. Much rather be sitting in the playoffs, close to a full house at Firhill and Somerset, than sitting in the house with my feet up.
Training tomorrow morning now.
Tomorrow morning, early doors at Firhill.
Life's changed for this guy.
It is, and he's and all credit to him. I'm delighted for him. It is a big ask because there's a lot of games to be played, but the man keep turning out the results, him and Big Brian, so don't write them off yet.
Jeff, how much do you care about tomorrow versus you sort of want all this season done and dusted and 49ers Enterprises to come and change things?
Question I want to ask. It's one of these games. All right, it's a meaningless game, but at the end of the day, it's bragging rights. It's bragging rights. Now with the 49ers, I hope and pray that they come out and tell us what they're going to be doing. The manager will take care of itself, but it needs to be done sooner rather than later because of the close season is so short, with the start of the season starting early because of the European Cup, the qualifiers.
It's a good point Jeff makes. You had more of a curiosity to me. I know why the Rangers fans want it. I just wonder if you get any sort of further official communication before the end of the season.
When I watched Andrew Kavanagh get shown around Ibrox along with the other members of the 49ers enterprises, and he absolutely refused to answer any question, and I thought to myself, this is typical Americanism. He doesn't want to say anything. The Fifth Amendment of the American Constitution, you have the right to refuse to answer a question if you feel your answer may incriminate you.
There's a reference I didn't expect today.
There you are. So for me, the legals have to be got out of the way first of all, and Andrew Kavanagh is not going to say anything that can be used against him. So that side of it has to be taken care of, because there's an awful lot of legal paperwork to be gone through. So Jeff may hope and pray, as he says, and he's joined by tens of thousands of Rangers supporters, but they will have to, whether they are frustrated by it or not, adhere to the legal ins and outs of this situation, and then, and only then, will Andrew Kavanagh open his mouth and tell you what is happening.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, looking even further into the future there with Jeff, let's look back on today. Michael Vimmer has been speaking. A 2-1 win for Motherwell at Dundee. They were down to 10 men, and it all means they will play Premiership football guaranteed again next season.
I'm really happy. I'm really that we are safe. I know everybody said 7 points in front before the game is no problem. We stay in the league, but it's always better that it is mathematically safe. I was sure that we win the game because I had this feeling. I felt this energy on the bench, on the pitch, from the spectators, from our fans. So I was not scared. So I had the feeling we can win. For me, it was a wrong decision. After I saw the clips, I say you can give the red card and it's okay. It's okay decision. No, I didn't expect it. It was offside. I was annoyed. I was angry because it was the same goal like the first goal, and it could not be that we are not more pushing and defending and more aggressively in defending, and so I don't expect it. I didn't expect that it was offside, but perfect that it was offside.
What have you got for us then? You want to reflect on some of today's results or last night? Falkirk fans, how was the party? How do you feel about being back in the top flight? And what about tomorrow? Give us a call. We'll speak to you next.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard's open line.
We're into the final part of today's Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard. Gordon DL, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins still here. We're back tomorrow as well, as if this is not enough for you. Let's hear from the managers ahead of tomorrow then, shall we? Barry Ferguson and then Brendan Rodgers.
I'm expecting a big performance from us because we know they're coming here. They'll not be happy about what happened in the last two games, so we need to be ready. It means a lot to me, and I've said that it needs to mean a lot to everybody inside the building. It's been a really disappointing season, but it's not a dead rubber. You're coming up against your fiercest rivals who again have dominated this season. That hurts. So we need to go up against them and just let them, or give them a reminder that, listen, we're going to be here next season. We need to challenge, certainly in a better manner than which we have done this season.
I said before that you would look at it over a period of time, and you would say that it's probably pretty much the same. Some really good European performances, a wee bit up and down in the league, but I think the difference being that at least the Rangers supporters, they can connect with Barry, and that's where they're at. I think we've seen they've played well in games, and then, like I say, other games that they'll have wanted to have done better in. But for us, really, we have to go and perform in this game.
Stephen's on from Irvine. How's it going, Stephen?
Hi, how are you doing? All right?
Good. What's your point tonight?
It was just a wee quick point to Hugh. I mean, it does my nut on every single time. See if he can find doom and gloom about Celtic. Hugh will find it. He's going on there, Sinisalo, first Glasgow, first you want to call it. He's coming in tomorrow. And then you make the point about Liam Kelly. And he doesn't want to listen to that. We've been to Ibrox umpteen times with debutants getting into it who've never played before. Scott Bain, the game Edward, when the allocation gets shut down. Scott Bain came in that day, done pretty well. What's not to say since Hugh just finds any negative and anything about Celtic. We could quite easily go to Ibrox tomorrow and get beat. I'm not saying we're going to go and tank them or anything like that. We could go to Ibrox tomorrow and get beat. But Hugh just finds the negative in everything when it comes to Celtic playing Rangers, or anything at all. Hugh, any negative, Hugh will find it.
No, you, on the other hand, would choose to ignore any positive that I put forward. You've come on and seized upon 1 point, which I stand by. There's a goalkeeper who has no experience of this fixture. It's at Ibrox. 50,000. If you'd allow me to answer your question, you've come on and said I'd do your head in. You're doing mine in now by refusing to shut up.
Okay.
So the goalkeeper, for me, is a matter for conversation until the game is over. And if Sinisalo has an outstanding game, I will be the first to say it. I'm merely looking into the fixture and saying that on the evidence of the last few, and I include the Premier Sports Cup final in that, because that game to a very large extent hinged on a penalty kick that should have been given to Rangers but was not, and the decision was later apologised for by Willie Collum. So in recent games, Rangers have spooked Celtic. Celtic's performance at Celtic Park in the last one was, and you would agree yourself, Stephen, totally out of character and totally underwhelming. And
I know what you're saying. It's spooked Celtic. Listen, I wouldn't say it's spooked. We're constantly saying that these games are a different entity or whatever you want to call it. But so can that not happen? See when two rivals are playing each other, can they not beat each other? Can they not have? Celtic, I don't think they had a poor start at Celtic Park. But then, when Celtic got it back to 2 each, you've said it constantly on this show, when Celtic got it back to 2 each, only at one winner, fine, fair enough, they got the park and score for a mistake. I think it's for Alistair Jones, I can't remember. But there's a slip now at Adelaide Park. That can happen in these games. So all this spooked talk, it happens. Celtic's went up to. We've done a whitewash one season. Rangers couldn't beat us. Rangers have beat us.
Yeah, but I'm giving you the evidence of this season so far. You're going back. You want to refer to previous seasons.
The last game could have gone either way, to be fair, couldn't it? Like Ibrox is a good example. That was an absolute doing. There's no doubt about it. Yep. But I think I do recognise what Stephen says just about the last one. We all said, because we can't rewrite it, we're all in here saying, "Oh, Celtic will go on and win this now." So it wasn't a performance that was, so dreadful. I think Stephen's talking about the fine margins in that regard.
Well, at Celtic Park, when it got to 2-2, you really are expecting more.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why that was different. I don't think you can package that one and the Ibrox one as if they were the same type of performance from Celtic.
But at the same time, tomorrow, and Stephen can self-immolate if he likes, but tomorrow, I think Celtic are the team under greater pressure because Brendan Rodgers doesn't want to lose 3 league games in succession to Rangers.
You also don't want to go 20 points behind in a season that you've not won a thing, though, do you?
Absolutely. That's the fascination of the fixture. No one knows who will win the fixture, and I've said that if Rangers lose, or rather, I beg your pardon, if Rangers win and are 14 points behind Celtic, having won 3 Old Firm games in a row, I have said it is a ludicrous state of affairs. I have said it is Rangers players cheating the manager, the fans and everyone associated with the club. So that's the fascination of the fixture. Separate life form is the expression that Stephen's looking for, which I always attach to this particular game. It's a separate life form. Either could win tomorrow. How do
you think it'll go, Stephen? I'm pushed for time. I'd love to let you two Barney all night, but let's just round it off in a friendly manner. How do you think it will go?
I'm hoping Celtic will win. I think, honestly, because of the points gap and everything, and all the points, it could go either way tomorrow. But I'll say 2-1 Celtic.
mind it. He's balanced up. He's given us the prediction. It's going to be interesting, Gordon, because Brendan Rodgers' professional pride, I'm sure, will be in there as well. And Hugh puts it in terms that maybe people think are over the top, but he's obviously right in the sense that Brendan Rodgers won't want it. He won't want a third defeat in a row.
100%. And then you've got Barry Ferguson desperate to put one over on them, because he's a Rangers man. Brendan Rodgers, you're quite right in saying what you're saying about professional pride. He doesn't want to lose to Rangers 3 times. He doesn't want to lose to Barry Ferguson, interim manager, twice. So I think the dugouts will be very, very interesting indeed. I just think that, if you're a Celtic fan, you're full of confidence. They've scored 15 goals in the last 3 games. If you're a Rangers fan, you're looking and thinking, well, we turn up when we're the underdogs and it's the big games. We went to Celtic Park, we've beat them before. So I just think we're in for a really interesting afternoon of football and a cracking game of football.
Thank you, Stephen. He annoys me as well sometimes, Stephen. Don't you worry. Stephen and Irvin on 01419511025. Let's hear from an angry Tony Docherty. His side were 1 up, remember, against Motherwell. They thought they'd scored a second, it got ruled out. Motherwell went down to 10 men and then they went on and won it.
My huge frustration in the game today, and I have to say before I make the comment, I'm not abdicating responsibility as Dundee manager for losing the game. It's a game we should never lose, but the decision to disallow the second goal, in my opinion, is we're in a situation now where we've got officials that are finding a way to disallow goals, and it changes the absolute dynamic of the game. We go in at 2-0, you've got to then explain to the players, it's an injustice, but come on, we'll do something about it. But there's no doubt the opposition gets a lift from that decision. We should be going in at 2-0. Antonio Portales was a fantastic goal with his right foot in the top corner, and an even better one with his left foot. And the officials contrived to find a way to disallow that goal. So I'm hugely frustrated with that. And do you know what? If we just brush it under the carpet again, then this game for spectators is all about entertainment, and the entertainment comes from them watching their team scoring goals. And you've seen the reaction of the fans when Antonio scores his second goal there, and I just think it's a disgrace to have made that decision, which affects the dynamic of the game. And again, I will stress the point, I do not abdicate responsibility. Our second half performance, they came out in the front foot, they had a lift from that decision. We went deep and we allowed them back into the game, but not much in a runner. And then at 1 each, when they get a player sent off, we go for it. We take off a defender, we put on an attacker, we go 4-4-2, and we shouldn't lose that. It's a ridiculous goal to lose the match on, and what could have been an important point the way the results went today.
It'll be interesting to see how this, once everyone sees it and so on. Here, someone sent me a clip of it, and I think, see the wider point. I get why football fans, players are frustrated because they think VAR's too pernickety and whatever. Right? But see, whilst it is what it is, I showed it to you two there. Whilst it is what it is, the throw comes into the box, it hits a Dundee player, at which point Clark Robertson's in an offside position. He then comes back and challenges Dominic Thompson, who can't clear the ball. It falls to Portales, he puts it in the top corner. Annoying, yes. Frustrating, yes. Pernickety, yes. Ruining football, maybe. To go as far as saying it's a disgrace, I think if you're the officials, you need to cancel that goal.
If I'm not sure, Hugh, if I'm looking at that, I would be calling for offside as well, because he's impacted the defender. Yeah, he's impacted the defender Thompson clearing the ball, so he's had an outcome on that clearance that, of course, doesn't get cleared, and it lands to Portales, who puts it in the top corner. Brilliant goal, but he is interfering with play coming from an offside position.
I think Tony is treading dangerous ground there by using the expression officials are trying to find a way to disallow goals. That was the equivalent of Neil Critchley, who just before he got the sack said that the referee couldn't wait to get his red card out and send off Devlin in the Cup semi-final match. You have to be careful with the terminology that you use, because desperate to find a way. Explain that one. I know that Kevin Clancy was the referee, and he is drawn to controversy like a magnet.
He's not going to have known that. That's VAR looks at that back and says, well, do you know what? Clark Robertson is in an offside position.
It's the right decision.
And he then comes back and challenges for the ball.
It's the right decision. Simple and straightforward as that.
Don't use expressions like finding a way, trying to find a way. It has other connotations you should stay well clear of.
Anyway, we'll leave it there for today because we're back tomorrow bright and early. It's going to be a good morning and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard, because 11:45, just in time to get the show on the road from Ibrox at midday. We'll go through it all and then plenty of time for you to have your say afterwards. Rest up well. We'll see you here in the morning and enjoy the GBX.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Trywire.com. Save like a world-class keeper. Get a great price on your next car.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box, with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.